See, I think people are going to enjoy that. That's the new way I went to open the show.
I think it's a good idea.
I'm going to perform the music. Good morning, it's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. It is a Thursday edition of the show. I realize this is where we are. Again, remember, going into the season, I said the likelihood was that I wasn't going to be watching a lot of Orioles baseball. And then last night, I was legitimately angry that I didn't get to spend my evening with the Baltimore Orioles. Like, angered, bothered, on edge. I'm drunk on this. I don't care for nights where I'm like, I can be in fact, they'll pull the curtains back. Normally on Wednesdays, we'd like to go play John Proctor Trivia. Our buddy John Proctor hosts trivia on Wednesday nights in Timonium. And so we were like, we'll go over there. We'll play some John Proctor Trivia. And then he told us he was out of town this week. And so there would be somebody else hosting. And I was like, aha! Then I will skip trivia because I'd like to spend my evening with the Baltimore Orioles anyway. If we go play trivia, I'd have to distractedly watch it with the sound off. It was like, I'd far rather be in the comfort of my own abode, sound on, Kevin Brown there hanging out with me, Ben McDonald, my pals, right there in my living room. I love that. So I altered my plans over the opportunity to spend the evening with the Baltimore Orioles, and then stolen from me. And to make matters worse, I forgot we had put in an all-Orioles ticket in on Swagger that is worthless. I mean, they gave us our money back. It's like it never happened. But still, I was all excited about playing Swagger. One thing that somebody asked me about that I did, you don't have to pick all of the same scenarios from one game. I was choosing them from the Orioles game because I'm being totally frank. I feel like I know more about that than I do other games. But if you didn't hear us talking about it, we've got a new partner in Swagger. We're very excited about having them on board. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox. They're offering you $10 free. So free money to start with. And then on top of that, you make a deposit of up to $100. They'll match it with free money for you to play with. So you could get up to $110 free. You might never use your own money when you play with Swagger. It's amazing. You could just keep making money using the money that they gave you. It's unbelievable. And it's set up so that unlike other fantasy games, and again, the idea is, look, it's still a bummer we can't bet here in the state of Maryland on our phone or computer, which sucks. But the idea is it's going to make you feel like you're betting. So what you're doing is you're building parlays, either via their Action X or their Pick X scenario, where you're picking potential results. Does a certain hitter end up with 2 or more hits or 2 or more total bases during the course of a game? So you're putting your cards together, and you don't have to get everything right. This isn't, again, other contests that exist. You got to go 4 for 4, 5 for 5. You got to nail them all. If you get one wrong, you lose the ticket. It's a true parlay bet. This isn't a true parlay bet. You got to get points. So you build a ticket looking for as many points as possible. And if you get enough points, even if you get, let's say you go 3 for 5, but your 3 that you picked were underdogs, and again, they don't go by odds, they go by a points system. So something that gets you like 68 points is considered a serious underdog, 1 to 2, if you will. If you get enough points, you're going to win anyway. It's awesome. It's phenomenal. I'm all in. In fact, I was ready to build another card this morning.
So I did one yesterday. After I got
How'd you do?
Show. I went 4 for 8, so I unfortunately missed. I missed the mark. I think I needed 225 points to win money, win money back, and I got 218.
I
did the Yankees Mariners game.
That'll sting.
And
the Yankees not helping us. And again, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I will not root for the Yankees. I don't care. I won't do it. I was, however, rooting for the Brewers yesterday. I was very excited about that. That was great news as the Orioles moved into a tie for the final playoff spot in the American League. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was red hot as they are. I actually kind of would have preferred them to play the Blue Jays last night instead of on September 5th, because who knows? By that point,
right.
Maybe they've cooled off or the Blue Jays have gotten hot or something.
No, we got a
like
doubleheader on Labor Day.
They do get a doubleheader, which sort of builds into my desire for that insano crowd. There is no excuses for there to not be a 40,000-plus crowd at the ballpark on Labor Day. So, yeah, I was starting to put together a ticket this morning, and I'm basically just doing – now what I figured out is that maybe I should trust the numbers more than I trust myself. Mm-hmm. So I was looking into the swishanalytics.com provides you.
Whoa.
That's where I was going yesterday for my statistics on how a specific hitter is performed against a specific pitcher, and they just listed out for you all of the matchups for that particular day. And so I was combing through a bit, and I found out, for example, I'll give you one. Michael A. Taylor, 1 for 12 in his career against Dylan Cease. So it would seem to me, like if I pull up the old Royals-White Sox game.
Right.
Because this is what I was trying to tell you. You can go from different games. You don't have to play it all in the same game.
Okay, so I could pick
You could put a ticket together on
Santander to get a hit.
100%. Then you can go to the Royals-White Sox game.
Or Michael A. Taylor to not get a hit.
Exactly. So if I go over here.
And then obviously take the Dylan Cease strikeout, whatever the number is.
Let me see if Michael A. Taylor is even an option. Apparently they're not letting you.
Really? Because Sam Haggerty was an option for the Mariners game yesterday.
I'm trying to remember. There was one that I found for someone who's performed particularly well, and I was like, well, I think I'll go do something with that.
I was hoping they might have some Ravens preseason stuff on there. They do not have football preseason.
They will have, however,
yes,
they will
have. They do have regular season.
Corey Seager for his career, 5 for 9 against Framber Valdez. 5 for 9 against Framber Valdez. So, let me see here. Corey Seager getting 2 hits or more tonight would get you 68 points. Think I might be playing that one on my swagger ticket. Think I might do that. Of course, it's a small sample size. 5 for 9 is not overwhelming, but it's just enough for me to say, I'm ready to risk it all, baby. I'm ready to risk it all. So, yeah, that's the cool thing about Swagger is you can play from different games if you'd like to put together a ticket, and I am excited about that. So we'd like to have them on board again. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox is the link. Go there. Sign up. $10 free. They match up to $100 in your first deposit playing with Swagger. Coming up on the program today, Rod Woodson is going to join us, the Hall of Famer, of course, the former Raven. Now he's back. He's got 2 new gigs that we're going to talk to him about. The first is that he's working the broadcasts now with Jerry Sandusky, including tonight on your television. You will see it. I guess you could listen to it, too, on the radio as the Ravens take on the Titans in the first preseason game. You can watch it on WBAL, as our friend Keith Mills used to say. And then he's also got a new gig coaching in the XFL, so we'll talk to him about both of those things. Later on this hour, Cade Povich is going to join us. He came over from the Twins in the Jorge Lopez deal. Had a brilliant first start with the Aberdeen Ironbirds. We will talk to him about that. And in the 11 a.m. hour, our friend Adam Pohl is going to join us in studio. Adam, longtime voice in the Orioles system. Started in Frederick. Moved up to Bowie. He's been with Bowie for a long time. He's just going to come in, hang out. We'll talk some Orioles. We'll talk some Baysox. And I want to do a definitive power rankings. Have you done a definitive power rankings with us yet, Griffin?
A definitive? I
yes,
guess not.
definitive
No.
power rankings. Which, of course, it's hand to God. Whenever we do this, It is definitive. It is truly definitive.
You're not allowed to change?
Oh, no. These are once we finish the segment, you then go carve these things into stone to be passed down through the generations.
Okay.
It is your responsibility to protect that we have defined the power rankings of a certain subject. I'd like to do baseball promotions this week.
Ooh.
I'd like to do definitive power rankings. Now, Adam, of course, in his career has seen plenty. And I'm not looking necessarily for the very specific ones, the shave your back hair, like that type of thing. I'm looking for something that's more frequent than that. What are the promotions that are most likely to get you to the ballpark? I've got my own, and I'll put together a few of mine, and I'll let you and Adam share yours. And then between the 3 of us, we will we'll put together a definitive list. And then, if necessary, if there's debate, we'll Rochambeau is what we'll do in order to determine who gets the position on. And then after that, you'll post them up at glennclarkradio.com. That's how you carve them into stone to pass them down through the generations. That's the way that it works. So we'll do definitive power rankings of baseball promotions, the things that are most likely to get you to the ballpark outside of the team being good. I understand the team being good, or like, say, opening day, probably the things that are most likely to get you to the ballpark.
I would think number one, Shohei Ohtani.
Not a promotion. Not a promotion. A player. Not the same. I get it. Not the same. So there's that. All right. So we'll do that when Adam comes in studio a little bit later on. Obviously, as I mentioned, the Orioles move into a tie with the Rays for the third wild card spot, which is neat. I saw a lot of people on Twitter yesterday being like, well, the Orioles control their destiny now. Well, they've actually done that for a while. The way that control your own destiny works is if you win all of your games, which, of course, they're not going to do. Well, I don't think they're going to do. But that's what that means. You control your own destiny. If you win all of your games, you'd be in. Well, that's been the case for a little while because they have so many games in hand with the teams that were ahead of them. They were still playing more games against the Blue Jays and the Rays. So if they won all of those games, they would be in. So that's not what you think you're saying is not what you're actually saying. The Orioles didn't start controlling their own destiny yesterday. They did. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's neat for us. They did move into a tie so that when you look at the playoff picture or when you go to the wild card standings, you see the Orioles sitting in a spot that would at least get them a 163rd game in order to try to get into the postseason at this point. What does it mean? Nothing. Other than the fact that it goes back to the insanity of this season and the stupidity of this season. The absurdity of this season. This is not, as a few people pointed out yesterday on Twitter, this team lost 19 straight games last year. They didn't go out and sign a bunch of players. They lost 19 straight games, stayed the course, and now, on August 11th, they're sitting in a playoff spot. That's crazy. You don't get rewarded for that. Again, you don't get to go to the playoffs because you were in a playoff spot on August 11th. There's still a lot of the season left to be played. You still have work to do. They also happen to be the best team in the American League for the last, whatever it's been, 6 weeks, something like that. I'm trying to remember the date. It's always difficult because I see all of these numbers that are being floated around, and I never remember them when I'm trying to do the show. But they're insane. Go back and look. It's just nuts. All that being said, there is still work to do. And even with them sitting in a spot, we'd still say it's unlikely, not impossible, but I would still default to unlikely just because you're asking a lot. But when I say unlikely, I don't know what I'd say. Somebody would say, hey, percentage-wise, what do you think the chance is? I don't know, 36%?
That's generous. Come on, 35 probably.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good point. 36? I think they have a chance. Absolutely, I think they have a chance. And I think those chances are getting better every day. But I still think on paper it's an awful lot to ask for this group to keep holding up. Now, the further we move forward, the greater that number becomes. It could be over 50% by the time we get to September. This guy, Ryan Spader, I don't really know what he does, but he's got a blue check mark on Twitter, and I think he's been an author or something. I also think that he's pissed a lot of people off over the years, but he pulled up a number that was fascinating to me yesterday as he was looking at the various playoff chances that different websites and projections give the Orioles, and it's kind of fascinating. This is the tweet. The Baltimore Orioles are 34-17 over their last 51 games played, the best record in the American League during that stretch. So that's the number that I was looking for. Over the last 51 games, they have the best record in the American League. That's a pretty big sample size. I mean, it's a small sample size like in general, but in delivering context to where they are at the moment, the fact that they've been the best team in the American League for nearly 2 months certainly buoys their chances. Their postseason odds sit at 50% according to Baseball Reference. but just 6.7% according to Fangraphs and 17% according to 538, which is really quite wild that, like, that's all over the place. Baseball Reference basically appears to be saying, well, they're in a spot right now. They're tied with the Rays, so 50-50. Whereas Fangraphs appears to be looking more at, like, what they've done on paper and, maybe run differential, things along those lines. Exactly right. Have they gotten lucky in certain situations, stuff like that? Can a bullpen hold up the exact same way all season? Most statistics would tell you probably not. Like, that's probably things they're taking into consideration. 538 probably does more of that as well. I don't know. I don't know all of the various platforms, models for determining the likelihood of a team making the playoffs. And it's interesting. But again, it doesn't really mean anything today. It's fun. It makes us feel good. If Carson Weekly was here, he'd tell us we were pretty. You want to give it a shot?
Yeah, sure. We are so pretty.
No, you have to say you, not you.
Well,
you.
Well,
you understand
it's
what
implied,
I mean?
yeah.
No.
You.
No, it's not about you. You're not.
You are so pretty.
Thank you.
So pretty.
Thank you. You don't need to reassure yourself. You need to reassure everybody else.
Let
them know you're very pretty. Very, very pretty. You're the prettiest girl here, frankly. So, never mind. I don't know if I can make this. All right, never mind. I'm not going to make. There was a joke. I had a friend who had called the other night who I hadn't heard from in a long time, and somehow she brought up the concept of female anatomy, and my wife was sitting right next to me as I was on this call, and she was like, well, you think mine is the best, right? And I was like, what the hell? Like, where did this come from? And so I said, yes, of course. I didn't even know that other women had them. Like, I was doing some shtick in the Clark household the other evening.
I'm sure that landed, right?
It did. It did. It worked out really well because I oversell in those moments. Oh, other women have those too? I had no idea. I oversell. I don't know how it used terminology that I'm just not going to use on the show. If I was able to recreate it entirely, you probably would get a chuckle out of it. Instead, you're probably like, hey, dummy, move back to the sports conversation. And I get it. It doesn't mean anything, but it feels nice. What it means is the Orioles need to keep winning games. Plain and simple, they need to keep winning games. They go play this one-off in Boston tonight. I saw a few people talking about the idea that, like, this is a weird scenario. It's why it sucked that they just didn't call the game a little bit earlier last night and allow the Orioles to travel a little bit quicker. You get in late. You want to get out right after the game. This is a difficult spot. This is where a lot of teams, one, might not put, like, the regular lineup on the field. They might just sort of say, hey, we kind of accept this is a weird situation. Let's put these guys out there and see. Let's not force it. And then, two, you worry about, like, the interest level that some teams would have in a one-off game like this on the road. Based on what we've seen from the Orioles, I don't have those concerns. Like, the Orioles seem to take every situation quite seriously. So I'm not really worried about whether or not they'll kind of ease up the night or they won't be fully focused or they'll be frustrated by the circumstances of having to go travel to play one game and then travel again, which does suck. There's no way of getting around it. Dean Kramer, who didn't pitch last night, will be on the mound. It was originally scheduled to be Austin Voth. He'll be pushed back as well. They'll just push everybody back. So Kramer goes tonight, 7 o'clock against the Red Sox. Josh Winskowski is on the mound for Boston as the Orioles play this one-off game, makeup game with the Red Sox tonight at 7 o'clock. So that's what's going on as far as the Orioles are concerned. Of course, the other thing that's going on tonight is a preseason football game here in Baltimore. And I don't think I still don't, unless I'm missing it somewhere, I still don't think we know all of the details about who's playing and who isn't playing. And frankly, nor am I all that concerned about that. Just being as honest as I can. I don't really get worked up about who's playing and who's not playing because I don't care. And I understand Like, this would be bad. If I was doing real radio today, there would be a program director that would be screaming at me like, you have to pretend to care. Other people care. It's what's going on. Well, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. That being said, as far as things I might be interested in, like if I was forced to watch the game, truth be told, I'm going to watch the Orioles this evening. That's what I'll look at the Field of Dreams game too. I'll poke over at what's going on there. It's not a very good game. It's the Cubs and the Reds, which is a bummer. But just because the setting is so great and it looks gorgeous, I'll poke over at some point at what's happening in old Iowa this evening. So as far as what I would be concerned about or what I might be interested in, admittedly, one, if they put starters out there, and that's, of course, a huge question, who do they line up on the offensive line? The belief right now is that Juwan James would be the backup plan to Ronnie Stanley. So you would presume he would be the guy that would go out there at left tackle. Is McCary the backup plan at center? We assume so, with Tyler Linderbaum sidelined. So then, would Ben Powers be the backup plan at left guard? I'm working under the assumption of that, but a game gives you that first opportunity to sort of see it. Just see how they're lined up. The next thing I might have some interest in is their usage of wide receivers. Because that would be the one position that you could look at and say, hey, you could justify maybe putting some starters on the field or guys that are regulars on the field a bit more because you got to figure out what these dudes are. You got to figure out who's actually helpful. So I could sell myself on not that what happens in the game, man, I've tried to have this conversation so many times. We get lost in because we're watching the games, they have to matter. We get lost in that. And it's not the case. Because we're watching the games doesn't make them matter. There can be decisions that are already made, and then you got to go out and you got to get through a game, so here, we're just going to put these guys out there and don't read anything into it. We get lost in the idea that because it's happening, something about it has to matter, which is not true. But it doesn't mean we can't say it's maybe interesting. And that's always, to me, been the best way to define something. If tonight you see Isaiah, hey, this man came in quite early today. I like that. It's good to see him. If Isaiah Likely lines up a little bit more out wide, that's interesting to me. It doesn't guarantee that's what he's going to do during the regular season, but it's just something to file away. If you see Devin Duvernay and James Prochet on the field and Jalen Moore is out there with them, that doesn't mean that Jalen Moore is on the roster, or it doesn't mean that Jalen Moore is ahead of other guys on the depth chart. It's something interesting to file away because maybe it's a statement about how high he's moved on the depth chart. And that's the appropriate way to say it. We like to make more definitive statements than that. Well, this is clear proof that he's separated himself. No, it ain't that. It could just be them messing around in a preseason game that doesn't matter. We always have to remind people of that. It's the same thing about going to practice. You're out there, so you want to believe that it matters, and you want to believe that it's real, and you want to believe all of those things. But it doesn't necessarily mean that. At all. Does not necessarily mean that. But it could. And I know I'm doing the bit where, like, nothing matters. Nothing in the world matters. But yeah, that's the way that preseason football, anything before the games begin, actually works. File it away. Note it as being interesting. Don't overproject. Don't assume that if tonight you see, Prochet Wallace and Slade Bolden, although I think I saw Slade Bolden was banged up the other day, so I don't even know if he's playing. But if you were to see something like that, that means that Slade Bolden's definitely ahead of other guys on the depth chart. doesn't mean that. It means maybe. I keep coming back to that. Maybe. That's what you take from preseason football, if you're inclined to watch. And, of course, as I mentioned a few times, I'm not. I'll join you when the games matter. I'll join you then. Then we can talk, and I'll watch the games with you, and we can have conversation about it, and we can talk about what it is that we're seeing. Happy to do that when the games matter. Until then, not going to happen. Just not the way it's going to go. But they're going to play it anyway, and we'll talk to Rod Woodson here in 1 second about what we might see tonight between the Ravens and Titans. Today's show also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, which is the best place to be. You can bet on tonight's game. And I would think that if you were going to, you should probably bet on the Ravens. I don't know if you've heard. They like to win in the preseason. And even more so, they actually like to cover in the preseason. In fact, in their 20-game win streak, they have covered 17 times. So I'd probably encourage you to bet the Ravens. Get to the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. It's the best place to be for all of football season. 61 self-service kiosks, betting pads coming. FanDuel Sportsbook, Live Casino and Hotel. Well, our next guest is not only a Hall of Famer, he's a man who's got a couple of new gigs, including he is now part full-time of the Ravens broadcast team. So you're going to see him and hear him tonight, and then you'll be hearing him throughout the regular season as well as part of the crew on WBAL and 98 Rock. He is our buddy Rod Woodson, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Rod, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to chat with you again. Obviously, you've been involved with broadcasting and coaching a lot over these years, so it's cool that these are kind of your gigs. But take me through how it ended up back in Baltimore and getting reconnected with the Ravens these last couple of years and moving into this role that we're going to see in tonight.
Yeah, last several years, I worked with Westwood One, calling the national radio broadcast for the NFL on their networks, either at Thursday night or Sunday night games, and which was great. I loved doing it. And then really just they talked to my guy and that represents me, and he asked me, and I'm like, let's do it. It's a lot of traveling, but it's going to be fun.
Rod, where are you living these days?
I live in Vegas.
Okay, so yeah, it is a lot. Where of course, if you don't know, Rod's also going to be the coach for the XFL team in Las Vegas. So yeah, it is going to be a hell of a lot of traveling. There's no doubt about that. But the connection with the Ravens, obviously, people associate you most with the Steelers, which we like to pretend never happened, of course, as you know, in this town. But why is the connection for you with the Ravens so strong, despite the fact that it was only a few years that you were here?
Well, 4 years, a part of that Super Bowl run. I like to say I was a part of really kind of building the culture inside the locker room, which, Rich, Ray and the rest of the elite players who came through there, Ed Reeds and Jonathan Ogden, they helped kind of curtail in their direction and how they wanted it, how they saw it. Now, play like a Raven is always a part of kind of like who I am. The organizations are so similar, how they're structured so well up top, all the way down to the coaching staff. They always put a really good product on the field. And, when you're part of a team, probably one of the best defenses to ever play in the National Football League in 1 year, being a part of that, but being a part of, being here for 4 years. And I tell them all the time is, man, if I was drafted and younger when I came here, I would more than likely live in the Baltimore area, because I love the area. I love the East Coast. But I love the organization. They remind me so much of what the Steelers, who they are, and so many familiar faces. They're still there, even when I was there back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So to me, it's always great to be a part of a team that's built on family. And that's the way the Ravens always make you feel.
That's powerful. Rod Woodson is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Rod, to what you're talking about, of course, everybody in Baltimore hates the Steelers, but to your point, there is no doubt the Ravens were trying to replicate the Steelers as far as being a model franchise, and I think we would all agree that they've done that successfully, of course, during their time. When you mention all of these names, clearly, I feel like before we talk about this year's team, we should spend a second chatting about Tony Siragusa, because as you talk about developing the relationship and laying the foundation, it's not just what you guys did on the field. It's, when you arrived here, there was still sort of some fracture with the Ravens in this city. Like, there were still a lot of Colts fans, and it was awkward, the idea for some people of having stolen a franchise. And there was a lot of grassroots work that had to be done to say, no, it's okay. You can root for us. We want you. And Tony was such a huge part of that. Can you speak to the role he played in developing a bond between this franchise and this community?
Well, I mean, Tony, if anybody ever met Tony, it doesn't matter. I think why Tony is so beloved is that, it doesn't matter if he's talking to a 10-year-old,
yep,
or if he's talking to a corporate leader, if he's talking to the president of the United States, if he's talking to a head coach, or if he's talking to an owner, he talks the same. And he's always bigger than life. He's always made it fun. He lived life to its fullest. And, one of the things that, not saying that he didn't do it on the field, because when he stepped on the field, he was all ball. And, one of the things that I just remember about him is that, I just remember he would get on Brian Billick, because Brian Billick used to wear these little shorts all the time. I mean, before they came back in nowadays. Now everybody's wearing them now, right?
Like the gym teacher shorts. Yeah, I think now they call them the hoochie daddy shorts is what they call them.
Right, the shorts that we used to wear back in the day.
Yeah,
those things are back in. But Brian was wearing them before they became back in. And I mean, Goose used to get on him and ride him and just talk about him. And most guys would not do that. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I never did it. I never did it to my coaches. I would rag some of my coaches, but not the head guy on a daily. And that's who Goose was, though. I remember him and I did something with the NSA over in D.C. A couple years ago, and there was quite a few higher-ups in the military ranks, and Goose was dropping F-bombs, just like he always does. But that made him a hit, and that made him beloved, because no matter where he was, no matter who he was with, he always spoke the same, and he always acted the same. He was always out there, and he just loved life. He was full of life. He loved life, and he made you laugh, one way or the other. It could be a bad day, and he's going to get a laugh out of you, and it kind of turned things around for most people.
There was no one better to bust your balls. It made you feel good, actually, when Tony Siragusa would bust your balls, man. It was the best. Rod, so obviously it gets underway tonight with the Ravens playing a preseason game. Give me, at least during the preseason, give me a couple of things that you're most interested in seeing and maybe learning between now and the Ravens kick things off against the Jets.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is, most of the starters are not going to play. We know that. That's just a National Football League thing now, that there's only 3 preseason games. Most starters are not going to play in week 1. They might play a little bit in week 2 and probably not at all in week 3. Maybe they will a little bit in week 3 because they do have that extra week. They don't play, that bye week before the regular season starts. But I'm really looking to see, for me, is who's going to be their receiving core, like that second receiver. We know that Rashad Bateman's going to be the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
But who's going to, is Duvernay, is Porsche, are they going to step up? Those guys, in their 3rd year, Duvernay only has 53 receptions in his career. You think about Porsche, he only has 17 receptions in his career. they need a second receiver to step up to the forefront. I mean, we could always say the second and third receivers are going to be, or vice versa, is going to be Mark Andrews, Boyles, likely, but who on the receiving corps can step up? So if they want to go three receivers, they can put them out there with confidence. And then, the thing about it in pro football is Lamar Jackson has to be comfortable throwing the football to you. And if he's not comfortable throwing the football to you, then more likely he's not. I mean, that's just quarterbacks in the National Football League. If they aren't comfortable with you, they're not going to throw you away. So, how can he get comfortable with these guys? I know he's seen them, but then it's still what we used to say in the locker room. They still got to play on game day. You still got to come out here and you got to perform. And if you don't perform on game day consistently, it's hard to put that trust in you.
I'm with you.
And, so I would really love to see, which one of these guys, if not both of them, and some of these young guys and, Tyler Wallace and Jalen Moore, which one of these guys is it? Slade Bolden, who the coach spoke really highly of this kid. I mean, he's young, but they said that, he has a great memory. He's kind of like a coach on the field already. So it'd be interesting to see which one of these guys step up to the forefront in the passing game, that if they want to go three wide, they could do it very comfortably.
Rod, I'm in complete agreement with you, and admittedly, I've said a couple times I'm concerned, not like panicked about it, but I'm concerned just because they lack depth, they lack experience at wide receiver, and I get it. I think most of us are expecting that the Ravens are going to look to replicate the ground success of 2019, but at some point they're going to be in a situation where they need to be able to throw the ball and score points in a hurry, and a lack of experience and a lack of depth, those are things that are I think that it would be unnatural to not be concerned about those things.
No, it really is. Honestly, I could see this team in a lot of 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends, 1 receiver, 2 backs, and using, because these tight ends can play. And Nick Boyle looks, he looks like the old Nick, right? He was banged up last year. We know Mark Andrews, that dude is just a beast. Just one of the best tight ends, one of the best players in the National Football League right now at any position. But I could see them going to 13 personnel, and depending on what the type of defense, if it's if the opposing team comes out with three linebackers, that they break out and get into basically a spread formation with the 3 tight ends and a receiver. I could see that happening with this football team, just for the fact that these guys, Mark Andrews, he's a nightmare matchup for anybody. They're all tall, right? Andrews 6'5", Boyle 6'4", because when you go back to the receiving core, when you look at Bateman, he's the tallest guy they got. They got some other tall guys, but they don't really play. But Bateman's 6'1", and the rest of the guys are about 5'11". So they don't have a lot of height at the receiving core, but at the tight end core, they do. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I know in my eyes, if I'm looking at this team, that's what I'm thinking that's going to happen. I think that would be their best personnel package, because they can stay in tight. They can run their package like they always run with their zone reads and RPOs, and then they can spread them out, and they can all play like receivers. And now they're matchup nightmares, because if you go dying and you got 6 DBs on the field, shoot, they just keep everybody in, and they run it right down your throat. And if you go big with more linebackers and safeties, now they spread you out and they throw the ball. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to see when the season starts. That's why I'm kind of excited to see where they're going. I mean, Greg really wouldn't tell us which way he's going to go.
But Rod, what's interesting is we've seen defense become more positionless in recent years, right? Like, we've just sort of seen more guys, the Adalius Thomases of the world, right? Like the guys that just play anywhere. In one play, you're a safety, another play, you're a linebacker. Like, and I wonder if what you're alluding to is more of a thought of like making offense go more positionless. Like, yeah, you are a tight end, but really, you're whatever we need you to be in this moment. That you're trying to envision a positionless type of offense.
In a way, it is. But what they do is that these guys can adapt because they're big and they're athletic. So they play well in space. You know, the difference of the game that I played when I was in the league to the game today is that they make you protect the width of the field. I mean, we always had to protect the length of the field with teams, but teams really didn't, use the width of the field, the whole 53 3/4 yards width of the field. And now everybody does. So everybody's playing in space. So that's why you see these safeties who play dime. Even though when I played in Pittsburgh, we were always in dime. Carnell Lake was that linebacker safety type mentality that we played with consistently at our dime backer. So I can see teams are doing that more often because their better players are these bigger safeties who could be linebackers nowadays. And we've seen over the course of the last several years that teams do take safeties and make them linebackers nowadays.
Yep. Because
they are playing in space and they got to cover running backs out of the backfield. They got to cover tight ends. They got to cover slot receivers. And they move better in space more normally than linebackers do per se. So I think that's a good perception that the offense is trying to go positionless, but it still hasn't changed a bunch. But because they're still, when they're attached to the core, they're still going to be blockers.
Rob, before I let you, I get it. I completely get it. You're still asking them to do more. I understand. And before I let you go, I just, this, and I'm sure you deal with this, especially being associated with the Ravens, the insanity that exists as far as criticism of Lamar Jackson goes, and people that still continue to ignore what this man has actually done and actually accomplished and continue to say things like he's just a running back or he can't throw, or this anonymous defensive coordinator who said if he's got to throw, they're not going to win the game, despite the fact that, we've seen it multiple times. What do you say when somebody that comes up to you and is like, right, you're working with the Ravens again. Well, they won't win a Super Bowl because Lamar can't do it. How do you respond to all of the nonsense that he deals with?
Well, for him, you think about how much success he's had, and there's always been kind of disparaging remarks to quarterbacks of color in the National Football League, and it still is. We thought it would go away because Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl. Doug Williams won a Super Bowl. We've seen more black quarterbacks play in the National Football League, more quarterbacks of color. But for some reason, there's still a stigma that they're not great players at the position, that they only are scramblers. And it's really sad to see that, Lamar's come in and he's won the vast majority of the games he's played. And he's a great thrower of the football. In the red zone last year alone, he had 12 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He takes care of the football. He's a smart, heady player. And honestly, this year he looks better because he came in a little bit bigger. The ball pops out of his hands. He's been throwing the ball with more zip to his players. I think he looks better. But I think the nonsense that he is only a running quarterback is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I will say, when he runs, man, he's that X button on Xbox.
Right.
When he hits it, you know where he's going. And that's why he's so exciting to see, though. But that's why so many people love him, because he can do both, and he does them well. And the one thing I love about him is that he really believes in who he is as a player, right? Like, when you get to the contract situation, that's the reason this hasn't been signed, because he really believes in who he is. And what I love about him is that he's a quiet leader that speaks up when he has to. The other day in practice, he made 2 of the players who jumped off sides. He made them run. And I've never seen him do that before. I just think the growth that he has is crazy, and having the activity around the league and these people who are supposed to be, quiet gurus is just absolutely ridiculous.
By the way, I had not heard that. That's awesome. I love everything about that. The other thing, it's so funny what you're saying because, of course, it's not just that he's a running quarterback, but it's equally insane when someone says he has to stop running. Like, imagine saying to somebody who's unbelievably good at something, don't do that. Stop doing that. Like, my God, it's what makes him so incredible. It's infuriating, as you can understand Rod talking about him. Rod, really excited to have you back, man. Going to be looking forward to tonight and seeing you on WBAL and throughout the season on BAL and 98 Rock. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning. Would love to do it again down the road.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Rod Woodson, the Hall of Famer, Ravens Super Bowl champion. I hear he played for another franchise, but we just try to pretend like that never occurred. That's the way that it goes. Today's show brought to you by your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. If you haven't tried the opener, the flash fried pork belly with the Korean No. 2 sauce, you're insane. Maybe I'll talk Adam into going over there after the show today because I wouldn't mind having some more. I'm telling you, you will lick the bowl afterwards. It's that good. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in. The summer seasonal menu with the South Carolina barbecue chicken, the Cracker Jack sundae, the lobster roll with the grilled corn. It ain't going to last forever, much like the summer. It's not going to last forever. So you want to get to your neighborhood Glory Days Grill today in order to take advantage of it. Griffin, do you think that Cade Povich would be okay with moving to later in the show?
Yes, I think
okay, because Adam
yeah.
Pohl's here.
Yeah.
So I figure why don't we have him come in and hang out, and then we can maybe catch up with Cade a little bit later on in the program.
That would be a fantastic.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that works.
All right.
It's okay with me at least.
Well, double check, make sure it's all right with him, and then we'll do it that way if that's the case. Because Adam Pohl, our buddy from the Bowie Baysox, and a man who's been in the Orioles system for a very long time, he is here in studio with us, and we're going to hang out with him next. It is Glenn Clark Radio.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Swagger is a daily fantasy sports site created for sports fans who want some skin in the game and a real shot at winning. Forget plus-minus odds, Swagger uses points for a better way to understand probabilities. If you're tired of losing because of one bad pick, with Swagger, you don't need to be perfect to win. You just create a lineup of 4 to 10 simple player props and score points for the ones you get right. So you can be half right and all right with Swagger. Swagger offers the most player props and biggest payouts of any DFS site, as much as 50 times your buy-in. Plus, you can play all the major pro sports, including your favorite local teams. If you're ready to play, visit playwithswagger.com/pressbox to sign up, and Swagger will give you $10 free to try them out. Plus, they'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. It's free money to play with Swagger. Swagger, daily fantasy for all fankind. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox.
These are the final days for you to pick up the very special Salute to Coaches issue of Press Box, with John Harbaugh on the cover and 8 other area high school, college, and pro coaches recognized inside, with amazing stories told by the athletes whose lives they've impacted the most. You can find the Salute to Coaches issue for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always read every Press Box print issue at PressBoxOnline.com, and coming soon, our football preview issue, which features Ravens tight end Mark Andrews on the cover and profiles of players from Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Visit Howard County presents the 2022 Major League Quidditch Championship, a Harry Potter-inspired, real-life, full-contact, mixed-gender, 12-team Quidditch tournament happening at Troy Park in Elkridge, August 20th through the 22nd. For tickets and more information, go to visithowardcounty.com. Maryland, be open for it.
Don't forget that full episodes of the show are available for free on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. But warning, you get what you pay for. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR, and we are going to move Cade Povich. He will join us before the show is up. Yeah, right? What a jerk you are, Adam Pohl.
Am I pulling rank here? Is that what I'm
dirty
doing?
Little secret, we pre-recorded that interview, so
we can just move it.
Okay,
we can air it whenever we want it.
He's going to be okay.
It'll be just all right with joining us later on in the program. Adam Pohl is here. Adam has been a friend of mine for a very long time. I was trying to do the math the other day. How many years have you been in the Orioles system?
So my first year, I like throwing out the names because I think that makes people feel like it's even longer. My first Orioles minor league team was a single-A baseball team that had Brad Bergeson, Jason Birkin, and David Hernandez.
All right, so yeah, that's going back a ways. That goes
my
back a ways.
second team was Matt Wieters and Jake Arrieta.
So there you go. So I thought, and by the way, when we were doing the math the other day, I said I think it's been about 15 years.
Yeah,
that's what I thought it had been.
Right on the number.
Because I came back to Baltimore in 2008, and I was like, well, I've been working with Adam since I've been back in Baltimore.
Right.
So that would be that math. Good to see you. You're still involved.
Yes.
With the Bowie Baysox.
Yes.
You still? How many games do you do? Most of the games? All the games?
No. Well, I don't travel with the team anymore, so there is kind of a new main lead broadcaster, Matt Sabatis.
Yep.
He's doing a great job, and then I come and sit in with him. I'm like the broadcaster emeritus for half or majority of the home games.
So that's the role. The role is home games.
Yes.
You'll be there hanging out. Which my kids always appreciated because they like to come over and ride the carousel.
Oh my goodness, it is a great time.
It's an awesome setting. I got a bunch of stuff I want to do with you hanging out in studio this morning, but give me your perspective on how this at the top level has happened, because you've seen all these guys. These are overwhelmingly guys that have come through the system. Not all of them, of course. Rugnado Dor did not. Jordan Lyles did not, but these are a lot of guys that came through the system. And this makes no sense.
I know.
This was not supposed to happen.
No, it was not.
What is your perspective on how this has happened?
Yeah, it's a great question. And a lot of it has to come with a realization that a lot of the changes that Mike Elias has made in the organization have not really come to fruition yet at the major league level. One of the main things that Mike Elias has changed is the Orioles' activity in the Latin American teenage, signing young Latin American player market.
Yep.
The Orioles have never brought a Venezuelan player through their system and reached the major leagues. Eduardo Rodriguez was going to be the first, and then he got traded.
And he worked out.
He worked out.
Just not here.
Just not.
And in fairness, Andrew Miller worked out too, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
So when you look, that's a big piece of the future puzzle. When you look at a lot of the guys that have made the growth and this big spike forward this year and even leading up to this year, because I would put Trey Mancini on that list. You've got guys like Mancini, Hayes, Mountcastle, Mullins. Those are all from the last regime.
Yep.
DL Hall, Grayson Rodriguez, maybe the two most important pieces of the Orioles going from being, now a pretty good team to being a really good team are from the past regime as far as when they were drafted. So it is very, very interesting to see how this has come together. But I really think it's twofold. Number one would be that the way the Orioles were set up in the majority of my career in the Orioles organization, working in minor league baseball, just was not a way in which you could win for very long at all. And I think it's remarkable what Dan Duquette and Buck Showalter did. They weren't really always on the same page together. There's a lot of talk about that. But I think it was more of the structure. They weren't trained to get Latin players. At that time, scouting was everything as far as getting good players. The Orioles had the fewest scouts by far in the American League East. You'd look in the media guide, the Orioles had 30 scouts and the Blue Jays had like 80.
Right.
So we weren't investing in trying to find great young players. the Orioles did not have the ability to compete in the free agent market. So when you look at all of these ways to bring in talent, they were substandard in every single way. The only thing that was happening was that they were getting a top 5 draft choice almost every year.
Which, by the way, helps.
It helps.
Like, it does help.
And, of course, they got guys like Matt Wieters and Manny Machado in that way. But a lot of the pitchers they signed, the Brian Mattises, the Matt Hopgoods,
alas,
right,
yes.
Dylan Bundy's here. I mean, they didn't become the top number 1, number 2 starter that the Orioles needed, to take that next step. What the Elias regime now is trying to do is create a consistent pipeline of young players coming through, and have that always looking in the long term, to be the way to be consistently good. And it's remarkable that without Latin players are 40% of baseball, and without many big-time Latin prospects, of course, Felix or Batista's, unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
But without, if you look at other systems, half of their top prospects are Latin players.
Yep.
And if you look at the Orioles system, it's nobody. None of their top prospects.
Not yet.
Correct. But they're the number 1 minor league system, having graduated the number 1 player.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, look at what the Mariners just did. They graduated a bevy of top prospects.
Take
a
huge
trades,
step back, yes.
and now they're right back at the bottom of the minor league listings. The Orioles are still number 1. They have graduated the number 1 prospect, and they don't have the Latin pipeline going yet. It's just remarkable. You would not have expected them to be able to achieve this at this time. So it's really, really, really special.
Let's talk about what's there, and then the guys that are there. Then we're gonna talk about what's still to come. Right?
Sure.
So obviously, the biggest thing that's changed during the course of this season is the arrival of Adley Rutschman.
Correct.
And the fact that Adley Rutschman somehow, some way, might have actually been underhyped, which is insane because he's the most hyped player in the history of the franchise. This is bonkers what this guy is doing. And we're watching it happen right in front of our eyes. Like, he's becoming exactly the player everybody said he was going to be. Not the power yet, but you see with the doubles that the power can come. Like,
sure.
That could be next. He's getting on base a guaranteed 2 times a night. It's insane. He has a command of knowing when to swing, unlike anything we've seen before. You is such a difficult at bat for every pitcher that faces him.
Sure.
And by the way, it looks like he's figured out how to handle the pitching staff, and he's got the fastest pop time in all of baseball. It's bonkers. When you saw him there, was your first thought like, "Oh my God, this kid is everything that they said he was"? Did you have any apprehension about all of the? I mean, we were painting it like this kid had to be an amalgamation of Pudge Rodriguez and Mike Piazza, or else we're going to be disappointed by him. And again, I don't know that he'll ever have Mike Piazza's power, but Christ, if he's everything else, he's going to be just fine. Did you know he's everything people said he was, or did you have concerns?
The funny thing is Matt Wieters was a far more dominant minor league player than Adley Rutschman was at the same age. And, of course, Wieters is similar in the Rutschman mold because there's only been 5 or 6 guys that have been drafted as a catcher in the top 5 in the Major League Draft in the last 20 years, but most of them have been really good players like Joe Mauer and Buster Posey. And it looks like Rutschman is turning into, hopefully a Posey-type player, right? I think it's been incredible to see Baltimore as a fan base embrace a new way of analytical thinking. Because Rutschman, a lot of what he's doing is what we see in the new age of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
He's hitting 250.
Mm-hmm.
He's not hitting homers.
But in fairness, he's hitting, like, if you take away those first couple of weeks,
correct,
he's hitting far closer to 300 at that
but
point.
Most people are saying, "Oh my God, this guy's the best catcher in baseball."
Yes.
And by the old school stats, he's
if you only purely looked at right. Yeah, I get it.
Where Wieters was hitting 350 in Double-A and everything like that. So that's what stood out to me with Rutschman was like, oh my God, this guy. I mean, the leadership is apparent. I mean, and it's going to be beloved by Oriole fans, for the long term.
The way the hugging, it's a 10.5. It makes you want to go hug your friends.
It's amazing.
It's a 10.5.
The ability defensively, the athleticism, he stood out even immediately as just an amazing. Because he's a big catcher.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times the tall catchers have a tougher time getting the ball to second so quickly. But the thing that stood out to me was like, oh my God, this guy doesn't swing. Like, he's going up there.
You got to work.
And there's once a night, he doesn't even swing. He might swing once in 7 pitches, and then he walks to first base. It was really, really remarkable. I think the thing that Rutschman has really improved upon since his time with the Bay Sox is in trying to handle velocity. And that's why his power's gone down a little bit. I think he's really shortened up his swing, which I think is a good thing.
Yep.
But he was really struggling in Bowie with guys that threw 95, and he was dominating guys that threw 90.
Okay.
And hitting a ton of homers. So the home runs are down a little bit, but I think that that's not a bad thing, in the short term, because he's got to get to the ball more quickly. And I think that another thing, like a guy like Mancini, as Rutschman has shown the ability to really dissect his negatives and get better at them. I think he showed it at Oregon State when he hit like 220 in his first year, and then said, okay, I'm going to put everything into baseball, and then was the best college player in a decade.
Yep.
Yeah, so incredibly exciting. And the defense is so important at the catching position.
Adam Pohl is in studio with us, of course, play-by-play guy for the Bay Sox. Cedric Mullins' story is one of the most impossible stories. And I was saying this the other day. We were having a conversation about him, and I worry that because the standard last year was so high, that what we're missing this year is he's actually legitimately backing it up. Because I worry that we're judging him by last year's standard.
How many homers does he have this year? Is it around 10?
It's more than 10, but it's not a lot.
It's not
more
30.
Right. Oh, it's sure as hell not 30. But he's still got stolen bases. I think he's going to get to 30 stolen bases again this season. And what we're really seeing is the range in center field.
Amazing.
Which has, I think, completely changed. We try to actually define what the Orioles have done outside of saying they've learned how to win. And the stuff that when you're trying to find tangible definitions to explain how good the Orioles are, of course you can point out the bullpen. Of course you can point out the arrival of Adley Rutschman. But the outfield defense is the one that
so good.
It's insane. And the play that he made the other night, which he didn't even break a sweat, in making a run from he's shading to right center field, ball's blasted to deep left center field, and the ease with which he covered that ground. I get it. He does not have the best arm in baseball. I understand why people have argued that ultimately he should be he'd be better off at a corner outfield spot. But that range, and it's not like he can't throw. We saw the throw to first base earlier in the season, which was incredible.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the greatest arm we've ever seen from an outfielder, but his range is so dynamic and adds so much to why I think it's helped improve the pitching that, unfortunately, again, by the way, it's not even 10, it's 9 home runs for Cedric Mullins this season. I think we're missing the fact that he is legitimately backing up that he is a high-level major league player after we had, frankly, completely written him off a few years ago.
I know, isn't that amazing? So it is a story in development, and almost every player hits a wall at some level of the minor leagues or even early in the major leagues, and they've got to figure out, how to get over that wall. And Mullins is a great example of that. I mean, Buck Showalter loved Cedric Mullins. He would talk about him in spring training. He had that one spring training where he led the Orioles in homers, and he was literally in low A. I mean, he was coming off of a year in Delmarva. So I think, though, that if you look, everybody's watched him play so much so now, you kind of understand the kind of player he is. It's interesting to me, and Brandon Hyde spoke to it a few days ago, that when you put Hayes and Mullins together in the outfield, and then you've got Mateo at short, who's just been unbelievable defensively, and now you add Rutschman. Remember what happened when the Orioles added Machado in at third in 2012, and the team just completely changed. And it was mostly his defense. You just put Machado at third and Hardy at short, and it's like, nobody can hit a ground ball into 100%. Left field anymore. And I feel like that's happening in Baltimore right now. It's interesting how, even though things are so different, the way they're winning is so similar to how they won in the Showalter era, with defense and a great bullpen. The bullpen is stunning to everybody.
It's a fact.
But the defense is really, really good. I mean, Rutschman is an outstanding catcher. Mateo is, by these new metrics, maybe one of the best shortstops in baseball. And you've got another one in the minors coming that is in the same ilk, I think. And
we'll get to those guys. We're going to get to those guys.
And then Hayes and Mullins are outstanding.
So let's talk a little bit about the pitchers, because these, for the most part, are not guys that we thought were part of the plan.
Sure.
Right? Dean Kramer as a story is a great story. I don't know whether he's a major league pitcher or not. For a few starts, it looked like he was a really good major league pitcher. Then for a few starts, it looked like he might not be the guy. He was great again last Friday. He's going to pitch tonight. Kyle Bradish is the one that's really interesting, because as you try to figure out who could be part of the solution long term, Bradish is the guy that you look at and say, maybe he could be a guy. And you see it in chunks. The other night, he really was great. Then you have games like the game in Texas last week where he threw like 100 pitches in the first 2 innings and was barely able to get by. And I get it. He's still very young in his career, and these things happen.
Sure.
What do you see in Kyle Bradish?
Just a great arm, and he's got his delivery is so right over the top. That's the thing that stands out to me. It's almost like you should have like a wrestler's ear.
Okay.
From his arm hitting his ear.
A cauliflower ear type? Yeah, right.
He should have a cauliflower ear on his right ear. But I think Bradish has got the elite fastball, right? I mean, he's the guy that can throw that heater 97, 98. When he made his starts in Double-A, that fastball was enough. So sometimes I think stuff can hurt development in the minors because you're just so overpowering. So I think Bradish was a little bit of that. It's almost like his fastball was too good. I just think he throws the ball in the middle of the plate too often. I mean, that might be a little bit too general of a.
I mean, no, I understand what you're saying. You've got to learn to make
he's got to throw better strikes.
Correct.
And I think that he's got to taste the pain a little bit in the major leagues to kind of develop that.
It's an interesting thing, too, because one thing we didn't really talk about, but we kind of alluded to with Adley Rutschman is the pitch framing, right? Which is I hate the fact that that's a thing that we've got to credit catchers for.
But it is. Caleb Joseph was like amazing at
100%. And Adley Rutschman's already one of the best catchers in all of baseball in terms of pitch framing. And you wonder if more working with Adley Rutschman makes you trust throwing balls to certain spots. Hey, let me throw it to this place because I think I got a better chance of it being called a strike.
It's true. I mean, obviously Bradish worked with Rutschman at almost every level of the minors.
That's a fair point.
But you're right. I just think he just is not going to be able to get away with it as much. So I think that working with Rutschman in that regard and understanding that, I just think it's going to come with time and refinement. With Kramer, the thing I love about Kramer is, man, it's his attitude. I mean, I haven't been able to get to know the guys now, not being full-time as much as then. Dean's a kind of a surly guy. I mean, he's there at the ballpark. You don't see him smiling very often.
Really?
I mean, he's there to dominate, and he's got that mindset. If there's a player that had a similar mindset to Kramer from my time in the Orioles all these years, it would be Jake Arrieta.
Okay.
And Arrieta was a very aggressive guy, and Arrieta was in Single-A, frustrated that he wasn't in the majors. Thinking that, and then when he went to the majors, he struggled, and it took some time. I don't think Kramer has Arrieta's talent. He's not going to be a Cy Young Award winner. But I do think his belief in himself, he's going to go after you. I mean, Keegan Aiken's a little bit like that too. Like, they're the kind of guys that could throw a fastball and it gets hit 500 feet, and they just think that the next time the guy's up, I'm going to throw the same pitch right by you.
Wow.
Like we talk about football, he's kind of got like a good cornerback's mentality.
I like that. I like everything about it. All right, Adam Pohl's with us in the studio. Let's talk a little bit about the guys that are coming.
Yes.
All right. You alluded to Gunnar Henderson a second ago. New number one prospect in all of baseball, according to Baseball America.
I have to tell you, I was not alluding to Gunnar.
Oh, Westberg.
Yeah, so we got to talk about that.
Oh, see, this is the depth that they have now in the infield. So this is the eternal question with Gunnar Henderson, of course, is because this has continued at every level, him playing multiple positions, is when you watch Gunnar Henderson, you say, I think he's a major league what?
Ooh, it's a good question. I do think he's a really good athlete. So when Gunnar got drafted and he was hitting really well, I thought a lot about Ryan Mountcastle because they were drafted in a very similar part of the draft, same age, same part of the country.
But there's a danger there because it seemed like everybody was in agreement that Ryan Mountcastle couldn't play short. Like,
oh my goodness!
It
Well, he's
like,
got no arm.
Right. Immediately,
Right.
everyone said.
And Mountcastle isn't a terrible athlete, but yeah, it was immediately clear, even though he wasn't playing any first base,
Right.
that he was a first baseman.
Right.
Because he's extremely coordinated. He can field, but he just can't throw.
Right.
But Gunnar Henderson just was a much, much better athlete than I expected. He can really, really run, and he's got that plate discipline gene that stands out like Rutschman. I mean, he's going to swing at more pitches probably, but he walks a lot. That's going to be something you're going to see from a lot of these players. He's young, so when we saw him, he wasn't hitting for like crazy power, but he's so young. So the thing that he did this offseason, it stood out to me in his preseason presser, was he talked about working this offseason, and he worked on hitting this high pitch, that he was popping up the high pitch. People are trying to get you with a high fastball all the time. And I'd be interested in looking at advanced metrics to see
if that's
what he's been able to do. Is all of a sudden his ability to hit that high pitch for a line drive base hit late in the count, that 2-strike fastball that's a little bit above the belt at 95 that everybody goes down swinging at in today's day. I think that Gunnar is probably, taking that pitch and doing damage, or at least fighting it off and living to see another pitch. He's having an incredible, incredible year.
But is he a shortstop at the major league level?
Well, I think it's possible. I don't think he'll be like this elite defensive shortstop, but he's incredibly athletic. So I think that, my guess is that he's going to be a third baseman, if I had to guess.
It was really interesting. We had J.J. Cooper, the editor-in-chief of Baseball America, on yesterday, and I said, is part of evaluating him as the number one prospect in baseball, like, does he have to be a shortstop in order to be that guy, right?
Correct.
And his answer was no. He's just as valuable to me if he plays third base. He's like, to your point, he said, I think he can be a shortstop at the major league level. But if he's a third baseman, I still think he's that, because he's that quality of a defensive third baseman.
Correct.
To go along with that bat, it's irrelevant whether he's a shortstop or a third baseman, which is fascinating to me because I would have immediately thought that part of what makes you the number one prospect is the ability. If you're going to be a shortstop, we just all know the significance of the position. That would make you that guy. That he said, no, he's that good and that valuable that even if immediately on day one he moves to third base at the major league level, we still would have had him as our number one prospect. I was like, wow, that's a strong statement.
That is a strong statement. And I'll put it this way, too. Like 5 years ago in AA, when Mullins and Hayes were together, they would flip-flop, right? So Hayes would half the time be in center field, and Mullins would be the right or left fielder. And that was for development reasons.
Yep.
And when you watched Hayes play in center, oh, my God, he was amazing. He's making these diving catches. His arm is unbelievable. But you realize that Mullins has better range. He's so smooth. And that, Hayes would be a dominant defensive right fielder. I'd put Henderson in the same regard. I mean, when Machado came up, he never played a game at third base in the minors, but you had a great defensive shortstop in Hardy. And when you put Machado at third, his range made him a spectacular third baseman.
A game changer.
Henderson does not have Machado's arm, but the range is going to be, for a third baseman, outstanding. I think that could make him an elite player in the major leagues if he's at third.
You and I are talking on August 11th, 2025.
Yeah, yes.
All right? You're here in studio with us on that date. The Orioles infield at that point looks like what?
Okay, so I'll go out on a limb, and I don't. The arbitration matters, but I think that over time, when the major league, usually what happens when a major league team goes from being bad to good, is that you take the minor leaguers and you trade them for pieces to move around the major leaguers. Tends to be
the case, yes.
I don't think that's going to happen here, and I think it's going to shock Oriole fans. I don't think they're going to be happy about it, but I do think that when these players start making real money, the Mountcastles, the Hayes, and the Mullins, that they're going to potentially be trade pieces for pitching to come in, because you've got this cadre of young players that more fit the Elias mold. And the Elias mold is power and plate discipline. So a big problem with Hayes, Mountcastle, and Mullins is that they don't walk. They are all guys that are either at or below the average for on-base percentage. And when you look at Rutschman, obviously, or Taron Vavra, there's another example. Even players that you wouldn't think of as big-time major leaguers in the minors are guys that are walking. The Baysox had the worst record in the Eastern League in the first half this year.
And all of a sudden, you can't beat them in the
largely
second
due to a COVID outbreak early in the first half. But they were leading the league in OPS or in on-base percentage. In on-base percentage,
specific,
not OPS.
right.
So this is a prevalent theme. So I do think it's going to be a bevy of new players. My guess on the infield would be, will Mountcastle still be here in 25?
Right.
Because obviously he is not a great swing decision player. He swings at everything.
Well, and the other thing, too, that we have to, promising someone first base is you have to be a special Jose Abreu type of I like Ryan Mountcastle.
Yeah.
I think he's a nice baseball player. But promising someone every day at bats at first base, if they're not a Frank Thomas, a Jeff Bagwell. First base is the position that you have for somebody that doesn't have a position.
But
right?
it's also interesting because, there isn't somebody to take first
there
base.
isn't
right
an
now
obvious
in the
choice,
system.
yes.
So when the Orioles gave all that money to Chris Davis, one of the things that frustrated me being in the minors was that you had Christian Walker, a longtime Major League first baseman at AAA, and Trey Mancini, a longtime Major League first baseman at AA. So, they were ready at that moment to replace him internally, and then they gave him all that money. They couldn't pay any pitching, and everything fell apart. You have to understand your system. So I think my big surprise is that right now rated between 20 and 30th in the Orioles organization is a shortstop named Joey Ortiz. And I think
thought of to be a glove, but not a great bat.
Correct.
That's the kind of consensus about Joey Ortiz.
Correct.
He's a hell of a shortstop. Can he hit enough to be a major leaguer?
Correct. I just think, and I might be wrong in this because who knows, but I think that Ortiz could be one of the top 5 defensive shortstops in the major leagues. I think he's that good. I mean, he's just an unbelievable defensive player, and you just don't get to see that or hear about that about minor league ball players. I think if you put Gunnar Henderson at third, Ortiz at short, a Westberg at second, whoever at second, Westberg could be the first baseman. Who knows,
But a scenario would be Westberg at second, Henderson at third, Ortiz at short.
Right. So Ortiz is hitting 240 in the major leagues, walking, a bunch. So he's an average on base percentage. He's one of the top 5 shortstops in baseball. So when Mateo starts to make money,
if he's a 240, 250 hitter, you can justify it.
Correct.
Yes.
He doesn't need to be, this great hitter.
You have to have offensive production coming from other places, but that's the idea, is that Gunnar Henderson can provide some of that offense.
Exactly.
And you're hoping some of the outfielders that are coming, Colton Cowser, of course, and
even a Kerstad.
Yeah, correct. Who's obviously looked pretty good since he's been able to get back on the field. He's clearly behind a little bit, but
there were some other exciting infielders too. I just think that Ortiz is the one that nobody realizes yet is major league starter quality good, and it might be to the fact that if Gunnar Henderson comes up and plays a great shortstop, that Ortiz is a guy you trade, but to try to get something. But I just feel like he could be this diamond in the rough.
The glove is clear. The glove is there is no debate whatsoever about
Correct,
the glove.
but I don't even think people realize how good the glove is.
That's probably true. You're probably right about that.
It's just, if you came and watched 3 Baysox games in a row, it would jump out to you big time. You'd be like, whoa, this guy's it's different. He looks like an outstanding major league shortstop right now.
And then the pitchers.
Yeah.
Grayson and DL obviously at the top of the list. Grayson, there is consensus. This guy is a top of the rotation major league pitcher. The stuff is overwhelming. DL Hall, there's not the same consensus.
Correct.
There are people that think he can be. There's a lot of people that think he's a bullpen arm. Ultimately, in fact,
he could be.
J.J. Cooper said yesterday, I think he could be Josh. I think he's Josh Hader.
He could be Hader.
Right.
It would be unbelievable.
But that would be very disappointing to a lot of Orioles fans who have penciled in DL Hall as part of the solution moving forward. On the area, as to your point,
Sure.
why it is you're talking about trading for pitchers, the place where they lack the most depth within the system is believed to be starting pitching.
Oh, it's undoubted.
Because they haven't used the early draft picks on
Correct.
pitching. They just haven't done that. They've drafted bat with pitchers coming later on in the draft. So when you see DL Hall, what do you see?
I see a unicorn. I mean, like, I've never seen anybody like him before. And if you watch baseball every night, I mean, how many pitchers do you see? I mean, this dude's a lefty, and like, he's just nobody. One of the problems with DL Hall is that nobody can hit a fair ball against him for the most part. So he just has to throw so many pitches, and he's like the Rob Deere of pitching, right? Like back in the day, like, you know, the classic now home run, walk, strikeout.
Yeah,
He's like that of pitching. I mean, because he is electric. He's electric. And he's got an electric personality, too, which is exciting. He pitches with a lot of fire, so he's a lot of fun to watch. Where Grayson Rodriguez has a lot of fire, too, but he really holds it in. He's very stoic.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no doubt that Grayson Rodriguez is a better prospect because of where he is, his consistency. But boy, DL Hall is you know, he could be Blake Snell, you know, but he could be Josh Hader. But I think either of those are a major win.
There's no doubt that both of those things are really good, right? There's no doubt. But in trying to do the math for the next...
Sure.
I especially after the way things have gone this year, Orioles fans are doing their math for the next 2 years.
No doubt.
Right?
And go back in time, right? The Orioles had this great run, 2012, 14, 16, 5 years, best record in the American League. But while that was happening, one of their prized young prospects was one of the 3 best pitchers in baseball.
Correct.
Not on the Orioles.
That's correct.
And if Jake Arrieta was doing what he was doing for the Cubs, for the Orioles,
yes,
what would the Orioles have been?
None.
I mean, really, what would the Orioles have been?
Might have been able to overcome some of the injuries in 14. I mean, it always would have been tough. It was so, you know, I don't like thinking about 14 because it's the eternal what if.
If you ran Arrieta, Tillman,
I hear you.
You know,
Chen and Gonzalez. I mean,
exactly.
like
Maybe Gosman was a long reliever with Miller. I mean, they could have won the World Series. So this is the big thing. There aren't pitchers in the system or pitchers that you can trade for that have the talent of Grayson Rodriguez and DL Hall. They aren't. So if Grayson gets hurt and DL becomes a bullpen arm, you know, the next 5 years, you're probably not inviting anybody to the parade.
Correct.
But if they are a 1-2 nasty starting combo, I don't know if we're talking DeGrom, Scherzer right now, but if they're a 1-2, you know, combo, obviously the sky's the limit.
And it's pretty clear the Orioles are going to give DL Hall the opportunity. They're not going to. They're not going to identify and say he's going to the bullpen. It's pretty clear they're going to give him the opportunity to become that top of the rotation type of pitcher. It's just a question of whether or not.
No doubt. And the best bullpen arms are starters in the minors. Jim Johnson,
100%.
Chris Ray,
right.
Zach Britton.
Right.
You know, I really am excited about some of these under the radar arms in Bowie right now. 2 guys, Ryan Watson and Armbruster, Justin Armbruster.
Just had him on the show yesterday.
And those are 2 guys that kind of look like Baker, Crable, you know, like you know, these guys could be pieces for a few years in the major leagues for the Orioles in the bullpen. Having a great bullpen is so important. And but boy, to win in the playoffs, you need to have the studs at the top of the rotation.
Before we hit our break, give me 2 other names. I mean, obviously Colton Cowser right now. I mean, guys that are at Bowie, right? Obviously, everybody knows about Colton Cowser. It's nuts. There's a lot of reason to be excited about him. But give me 2 other guys, 2 other names that people should be more familiar with. To your point, what is their record in the second half? It's like 26-8 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
They've really been spectacular, and a lot of it has been offensively. I mean, it really has been great. So
give me 2 other guys that you say, this guy might not be on your radar yet, right? But be aware of who this person is because they might be part of the story for this thing in the next 5 years.
Okay, that's a good question. Well, Connor Norby is a second baseman, second-round pick, and Norby is a big
Is he really a second baseman or just a power hitter?
Second baseman,
all right.
yeah. But I haven't really seen a ton of him defensively that would, make you think one way or the other. But Norby's, he's just got big time power. And then the second, of course, I don't know. I haven't seen much of him 3 games, but I'm intrigued by this corner outfielder, John Rhodes, as well. He's a 3rd-round pick, 2021, all ready to Bowie. He was a young draftee, so he's 21 years old. These 2021 draftees that are already in Bowie, I think all have a chance. And the 4 of them are Cowser, Norby, Rhodes, and Armbruster.
I like that list. All right.
Can I ask about one more guy?
Yes.
Zach Peak. I know he just got surgery, but can I stay excited about him?
Definitely.
Okay.
Peak would fall in that, I think, in that potential long relief mode down the road. I told you guys had him on and talked about Darth Vader, and then he got hurt. That was a bummer.
I know,
that was a great interview.
I loved his. I just loved
him,
dude. I loved everything
him.
about that. I like Zach. I really do like Zach. I like that guy a lot. So here's the deal. All right, can you hang for a minute?
I can hang. Yes.
Okay. Our friends from Glory Days Grill actually brought us some food.
Danger.
So that's a good thing. But I'm gonna let them come in and tell us about it for just a minute, and then you're gonna come back, and I want to have some fun with you.
We're gonna talk about it all.
I don't know if you saw this earlier on Twitter today. I want to do definitive power rankings.
Yes.
Of the best promotions in baseball.
Can't wait.
And I don't even, as I said, I don't necessarily mean the one-off, because you guys have done some crazy things over the years. I'm not even necessarily saying that. Just the generic, like the best day at the ballpark is bobblehead day. The best day at the ballpark is whatever day it is.
But I used to run promotions for the Frederick Keys, and we had some.
Well, I know you guys had some crazy
ones.
Yeah,
we should talk about.
I know you had some crazy ones. But I wanted to do definitive power rankings of the best promotions in baseball, the things that are most likely to get you to go to a game, besides the team being good and the players being excited.
Awesome.
All right?
Sounds good.
Adam Pohl is here from the Bowie Baysox. He's hanging out with us. If you haven't picked up the print issue of Press Box, these are your final days to do it. It's got John Harbaugh on the cover. It's our Salute to Coaches issue as we recognize a lot of the coaches in the area. John Harbaugh, 15 years, which just doesn't happen in the NFL anymore.
Amazing.
It really.
we're going to have a Manager of the Year in baseball this year. We better.
Man.
My God. Are you kidding me? Harbaugh is just elite.
It's John Harbaugh, right? It's John Harbaugh. And a lot of other coaches from the area who also either approach milestones or surpass milestones recently, like Ken Niumatalolo down at Navy, also 15 years.
Amazing.
Just hard to believe, and it makes me feel a bit old. And then Pete Caringi at UMBC, Sasha Sorowski, Missy Maharg from Maryland, Pat Clatchy from Mount St. Joe, Kendall Peace from Poly, and then a couple coaches who retired recently, Lou Eckerl from Calvert Hall, and Janine Tucker from Johns Hopkins. All recognized inside this issue. Great stories from the athletes whose lives they impacted the most. But these are your final days to get this very special issue of Press Box.
Glenn did that without notes, by the way. That was amazing.
Yeah, but that's why I struggled, too. I'd be better off having it in front of me. I've got a whole binder that's got the reads in it, but I try to do it more organically than that, and then I'm like, the other one is... Yeah, I got there. Final days to get it, and then our football preview issue hit stands next week with Mark Andrews on the cover, obviously, as he has broken out as a true star in the NFL. So that'll be on the way. Final days for this one, then that one's coming. Get to your neighborhood Royal Farms. Adam Pohl's here. We're getting some food from Glory Days, then we're talking promotions. Got a lot going on. Cade Povich is still going to join us before we wrap up.
Sorry, Cade.
Yeah, right, you jerk. It's a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Swagger is a daily fantasy sports site created for sports fans who want some skin in the game and a real shot at winning. Forget plus-minus odds, Swagger uses points for a better way to understand probabilities. If you're tired of losing because of one bad pick, with Swagger, you don't need to be perfect to win. You just create a lineup of 4 to 10 simple player props and score points for the ones you get right. So you can be half right and all right with Swagger. Swagger offers the most player props and biggest payouts of any DFS site, as much as 50 times your buy-in. Plus, you can play all the major pro sports, including your favorite local teams. If you're ready to play, visit playwithswagger.com/pressbox to sign up, and Swagger will give you $10 free to try them out. Plus, they'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. It's free money to play with Swagger. Swagger, daily fantasy for all fankind. Playwithswagger.com/pressbox.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
The biggest pro wrestling stars today and all time all have one thing in common. You've heard them on Jobbing Out.
Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
The great Kurt Angle.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man.
The champ, Drew McIntyre.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Bill Goldberg.
My pleasure.
Charlotte.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mick Foley is with us.
This is the greatest name for a wrestling show I've ever heard.
MJF.
I'm glad you're happy I'm on this show because I'm freaking miserable.
Le
champion.
Chris Jericho.
Le champion.
AJ, Aaron, Brandon, and Glenn are talking pro wrestling every week on Jobbing Out. Find it at PressBoxOnline.com/radio, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash-fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or backed by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
To follow the show on Instagram, it's just Glenn Clark Radio. And to follow the show on OnlyFans, wait, I don't think you're supposed to know about that one. Any hoodle. Take it away, boys.
All right, back in here on GCR. Adam Pohl's going to rejoin us in a second, but this is far more important than that. No offense, Adam. This is more important. I have food. Tim Diggs from Glory Days Grill, right literally a stone's throw from our studio. This is the best part about moving here. And I said I was going to be a regular, and I've backed those words up since I've arrived. Tim, if you can get right up on that microphone for me, sir. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming in studio with us.
Oh, awesome to be here.
And no offense, like we're saying you're the guest, but really the guest is the food that you brought us. Like that's the way that it goes. First of all, how long have you been with Glory Days?
Been with Glory Days for about 3 years now.
And we have been over there. Of course, Drew Forrester and I have done our coat drive, the Benefit Helping Up mission, and every year that we have done it, Glory Days has graciously hosted an event for us to come over and collect coats and clothes, and that has meant the world to us as we've basically taken over that side room and made it very difficult and packed it with coats and clothes. You've been a wonderful partner for us. In particular, we put we've always had a big box up front as well for people to bring their coats and clothes. And I hope you know, as much as I appreciate you supporting, the show and bringing us food and all that, what I really even more so appreciate the fact that you've been a great partner for what we try to do for the community.
We appreciate it.
And I know that means a lot to everybody at Glory Days. I know how very involved you guys have been in the community over the years. I have been talking up the summer seasonal menu for a while. But what we need to address is two things. Once upon a time, I was given a list of things that were on a seasonal menu and included these new thigh wings. And I was like, okay, let's see. And y'all brought them in for me, and I said, no offense, because I've eaten a lot of wings at Glory Days in my life, but you never needed to make a regular wing ever again.
Right.
Because it was the most incredible thing I'd ever tasted. I said, whenever anybody talks about there being a wing shortage, fine. Let there be a wing shortage, because if I've got these, I'm good. Now, you've kept them on the menu.
We have.
That's relevant because in the spring, I noticed there was something on the seasonal menu. And it stayed on the seasonal menu for the summer, and I'm going to need you to declare to me that it will never leave the menu again, and it is that opener, the pork belly with the Korean No. 2 sauce, purely bonkers.
Yes, it is absolutely one of the top sellers right now, and it is delicious.
Tim, this is not, I'm not joking about this. My buddy Rich and I were there 2 Fridays ago. I swear to God, I was doing the math in my head of when Rich might look away because I didn't want him to see what I was doing to that bowl. Because I was taking my fingers and rubbing them up against the edge of the bowl and licking my fingers when he wasn't. Hey, you see that over there? Oh, man, you must have missed it. It was a guy in a costume. It was crazy. You must have missed it. I was Tim. Tim. It's
Wow.
the number 2 sauce has always been perfect, right?
Absolutely.
On the wings. And whatever it is about the combination of the number 2 sauce and the pork belly, it makes me speak in tongues, my friend. So you're committing to me that ain't going away.
I don't think it is.
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. I needed that to be the case. But there are other things on the summer seasonal menu that might go away.
Correct.
So we need people to get in and try it now, because otherwise you might be miserable if you missed out on that opportunity.
Yes.
So give me an example or two that maybe perhaps I could try myself while we're right here.
So the South Carolina barbecue chicken, it comes with green beans, fresh green beans. Comes with grilled fresh corn.
Tim, can I ask you to get a little bit closer to the mic? I'm sorry. Thank you, sir.
Comes with fresh green beans, fresh grilled corn, and then it comes with a nice slice of fresh watermelon.
Okay. So that's this
Yes.
right here, right? Griffin, we need to get pictures too
All right.
of the food that came in here. So this I'm looking at right now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Look at that. That's the South Carolina barbecue chicken?
Yes, it comes with 2 large portions of
Holy
the chicken
hell.
leg and thigh together.
I don't know what to do here. I'm just going to stare at it. This is impossible. Oh my God, just smell that. Griffin, smell that. Smell that. Adam, can you smell that from out there? Yes. Adam's dying because he's not in here with the food. Oh my God. Oh my God. What is that? That is like a golden barbecue sauce.
Correct. It is the South Carolina barbecue sauce.
Oh.
It's like a mustard
You see that, John
barbecue
Colson?
sauce.
You see that? Oh my God. All right. I want to share this with the class. Griffin, I need you to do me a favor. All right?
All right.
I need you to cut this chicken up somehow. Okay. So I can just have a little bit of it. All right? I don't want the whole thing. I want a little bit of it. Share it with the class. Okay? You can get some for everybody. I don't want the whole thing. I just want to try a little bit. In the meantime, can I try a bite of the lobster roll?
You can.
Okay.
It's our main lobster claw, and it is served with our grilled New England style roll.
Oh, look
and
at
then
that.
it has the Old Bay.
Oh, look at that.
Corn.
Okay. So I'm just going to take a bite out of this. All right? I'm just going to go right in for it because, again, we like to share. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That's what – okay. So I'm going to say a couple things about lobster rolls, right? So I'm an onion man myself. I'm an onion man. So adding in the accoutrement with the lobster creates this perfect kind of refreshing, light. This is the type of thing you can eat for lunch. It's not going to ruin your day having this lobster roll.
All right, cut up a couple pieces.
Oh my God, what is going on over there? All right. All right, take a picture of the lobster roll too, and then you can also try a bite of that. Oh my God. Oh, I just don't mind if I do. I don't care. So it hit the table. Life will go on. Some lobster came out, hit the table. All right. So there's that. That's excellent. Now, this is the South Carolina barbecue chicken.
Yes.
Oh my God. Look at that. Look at that.
Amazing.
I don't even want to touch it. I just want to admire it. I can't believe I haven't tried this yet. I can't believe. As much as I'm a Glory Days girl, I haven't tried the South Carolina barbecue chicken yet. All right. I'm kidding. Ha! Ha! Okay. Well, cancel all of my plans. Guys, I got bad news. You're not getting any of the chicken. I'm sorry. You can have some of the lobster roll. You will not be getting any of the chicken. Holy hell. Oh, that is so good. Tim, that is so good, man.
Thank you.
That is so, so good. Wow. I don't have the words for that. That's perfect. That is perfect. So, it was a lobster roll. I know you're also doing lobster and crab fries.
We are.
How does that even work?
You take the fries and you take lobster meat and crab meat over top of the fries with our sauce that goes on it with green onions. Awesome. Oh my God. Really, really awesome.
Oh my God. John, Adam, come try this chicken. Get in here. Come try this chicken. It's insanity. It's insanity. I don't have the words for it. Here, we'll get you a fork. It's Adam Pohl, play-by-play man for the Bowie Baysox. Good. Is this more? What is it? What is this? What is this in here? There's more food. How is there more food?
This is your corn.
Oh, this is the corn.
Yes, we couldn't put it all in one container.
Got it. This is. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. How good is that? How good is that?
The chicken is insane.
Somebody find Adam a fork. Somebody get the man, or he can just grab it. Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. It's bonkers. Bonkers. Yeah, right? Bonkers. Okay, so go back to the fries. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Back to the fries. So we're putting lobster and crab meat on top of the fries.
Correct.
And is it an appetizer? Is it more like we call it an appetizer?
We call it an appetizer, but it actually can be an entree for one person.
Yeah.
Or two people.
That's what I was thinking.
That's how many fries. They're getting 18 ounces of fries with it. Huge.
And then the dessert is the Cracker Jack sundae?
Correct.
So you need to describe that.
So it's a delicious, crispy, warm waffle topped with our delicious vanilla bean ice cream with chocolate and caramel sauce and whipped cream and Cracker Jacks. We all know Cracker Jacks from back in the past.
Of course, it's what you associate with baseball. It's baseball season. You get yourself a Cracker Jack sundae. That's the way that it works. That's such a great combination. I really don't want to keep doing the show. I just want to stop and eat some more chicken. That's what I want to do. God, that is good. That is so insanely good. What else do people need to know about going on in the summer menu at Glory Days Grill?
We have a very berry salad.
Yep. I've consumed a few. So I am a man who's tried to stay in reasonable shape. And so I am a big fan of I have ordered quite a few berry salads because that's not new. That was
Correct.
there last summer.
Absolutely.
I have been a big fan of the berry salad over the years. It's a perfect It's got what kind of nuts are in it?
Berries, walnuts,
the berries. It's a perfect blend of flavors on the berry salad. It works out quite well. Anything else people need to know about for the seasonal menu?
No, I mean more than anything else is just a great item. Great items on the menu.
And look, the smoky thigh wings, I still highly recommend. I highly recommend that. What's the blend burger? The brisket short rib blend burger.
Yes.
So you don't know how much you guys got our family through the pandemic. I was regularly, because we were all trying to support area restaurants and we were doing our civic duty. It's not that we didn't want to cook. We were just doing our civic duty. Right. That's what we were doing. My kids are big fans of the wings, right? And especially the boneless honey Old Bay wings. They're big fans. Of course, perfection.
Absolutely.
So we were ordering a lot of those. And then I was ordering the brisket short rib because I'm a no bun man. Brisket short rib blend burger with the blue cheese and caramelized onions on top. I just combined. I don't know what you guys call that burger. Is it black and whatever you call that burger? I said
blue cheeseburger.
Blue cheeseburger.
Correct.
I said, can you do it with the brisket short rib blend burger? And they were like, everybody was like, yeah, we can do that, no problem. Perfection. Wow. It's everything. Tip a little bit of barbecue sauce on top. I'm telling you right now, especially if you're somebody like me who's trying to brisket short rib blend burger with the blue cheese and the caramelized onions on top, a little bit of barbecue sauce. Thank God you're alive.
Amazing.
It's perfection. Perfection, Tim. Perfection.
Now, for beverages, don't forget to finish it off with a summer crush.
I mean, what says summer in Baltimore more than a crush? What says Baltimore summer better than a crush? I actually, I don't really drink anymore, but I was over there a couple weeks ago for a meeting, and I actually had a gin and tonic. And I was like, this is great. I can just walk back to the office for a little while afterwards. That is the really convenient thing about being right down the street now from my neighborhood, Glory Days Grill.
Absolutely.
Football season's coming. The place to be for hanging out, watching games, of course, as well as picking up food and taking it home for games, getting some wings, getting some ribs, getting some burgers from Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. Tim, anything else people need to know before we let you go?
No, we really appreciate all the community helping us through the pandemic. We greatly appreciate it.
I felt like I was a hero in those moments. I'm enjoying these wings because I'm a hero. I appreciate you guys.
Yes,
you have no idea. And right now, I appreciate that chicken more than I can possibly describe because it is truly insane. Tim Diggs, general manager, right here at the Glory Days Grill in Towson. Come by and see him. And I'm telling you, the pork belly. The pork belly. No offense to anything because the chicken's bonkers and I'm going over there to get more. But the pork belly, you will have dreams about it. You will wake up in the middle of the night saying to yourself, I need it. I need it. It's called The Opener. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us, Tim. Appreciate it. And thank you for bringing the food for us.
Absolutely.
It's Tim Diggs from Glory Days Grill hanging out in studio with us. Have we taken all of our breaks? Do we need to take one more break?
We do need to take one more break.
Great.
At some point.
We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come. Adam Pohl will rejoin us then. That's going to allow me a couple minutes to eat some more chicken. That's what I needed to know, is do I have a chance to eat a little bit more chicken? We'll do that, then Adam Pohl's back with us. This is Glenn Clark Radio.
Visit Howard County presents the 2022 Major League Quidditch Championship, a Harry Potter-inspired, real-life, full-contact, mixed-gender, 12-team Quidditch tournament happening at Troy Park in Elkridge, August 20th through the 22nd. For tickets and more information, go to visithowardcounty.com. Maryland, be open for it.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
to young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
We've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
and every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash-fried pork belly with their popular Korean #2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or back by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
These are the final days for you to pick up the very special Salute to Coaches issue of Press Box, with John Harbaugh on the cover and 8 other area high school, college, and pro coaches recognized inside, with amazing stories told by the athletes whose lives they've impacted the most. You can find the Salute to Coaches issue for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always read every Press Box print issue at PressBoxOnline.com. And coming soon, our football preview issue, which features Ravens tight end Mark Andrews on the cover and profiles of players from Maryland, Navy, Towson, and Morgan State.
It's statistically proven that the show sounds better if you're not wearing pants. Like me. Right now. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
I thought maybe I could house an entire ear of corn during that commercial break. Came up just short. Got close.
You did get close.
I mean, I put away some. If there's one thing I know, is that if my wife says, "Hey, you're grilling corn tonight," I'll be like, how many ears we got? She'll be like, well, I got 4. I'll be like, we're going to need to go get 4 more. We're going to go need to get a few more, because that, to me, is summer. Thank you to Tim Diggs and Glory Days Grill for bringing us some food. Adam Pohl back with us. That chicken is insane. The chicken's insane. I hadn't tried it yet.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it, and I'm like, it sounds really good. It's better than it sounds.
Yes. So good.
The chicken's nuts. Adam, we're going to get to, of course, Adam's with the Bowie Baysox, but also Adam is the play-by-play voice of Mount St. Mary's.
Let's go.
And you guys are making a big move, a new conference starting this year.
It is a big move, yeah. A little action coming to Emmitsburg.
Not single A action.
Correct.
Double A action.
Exactly.
You know a thing or two about double A, don't you?
I do. I guess
this
is a trend.
double
This
A's.
is a trend. Yeah, so unfortunately, Ball State is not coming to the Mount, but the MAC is a great the Metro Atlantic athletic
local
conference.
fans will remember, of course, Loyola
Right.
was in the
was
MAC
in
for
the
years.
MAC. I think it's actually the perfect league for the Mount to be in because the NEC is a football league as well. So almost all the other schools have football, and the Mount is a basketball school.
The Mount is undefeated in football
Since 1808.
Correct. Show
right?
some respect.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Much
They
like
might have-
UMBC.
They might have had a football team 100 years ago.
Oh,
I gotta
really?
check
There
on
was a
that.
football
Yeah,
team? All right,
for-
never
for
mind.
Like 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
Well, undefeated in this century.
Yes, undefeated since whatever their last season was. But the MAC is a great low major to mid major level basketball league. It was rated 16th in out of 32, so I guess that would be mid major.
Yeah, I agree.
And
mid. True.
right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, do the math.
Definition.
And but you just got the great story of the tournament last year was St. Peter's. Yep. Of course, they were the MAC champions last year, but they weren't the first place team of the MAC.
Nope.
And St. Peter's was only in the tournament. I mean, they were outstanding last year because the 17-1 Iona Gales,
That's right,
led by Rick Pitino, were upset by a team that's supposed to be the real up and coming team of the MAC this year, Ryder.
Okay.
And Ryder beat them in the quarterfinals. And so it's going to be a fun year, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Mount fits in. But one of the great things about this Mount team is that almost everybody that's going to play a big role for the Mount this year is going to be somebody with at least in their third collegiate year at the D1 level.
That'll help.
Yeah,
That'll
so
help.
so there's, even though a lot of these players were brought in to be great players winning the Mount, the NEC title, and this is a big step up. And the recruiting is going to have to tell the tale over time for that. I still think that this group of players can do pretty well.
Does the MAC still play on Friday nights?
Yes.
Oh, that is the best.
Yes.
Okay, so from
and Sundays,
everybody
Fridays and Sundays.
Everybody knows I work, of course, at Loyola, but I was not at Loyola when they were in the MAC. I just went to games.
Right.
When Jimmy was there and they were playing Friday night games against Iona, and that was when Tim Kluse was the coach at Iona, who had a hell of a run.
And Loyola won the
tournament, MAC tournament in 12.
1 year.
Yeah,
Yep.
I believe. Those Friday night games, because the students hadn't left for the weekend.
Yep.
It was like the kickoff for their weekend was we're going to go to the basketball game on Friday night, and
Yep.
they were, hyped. Those
Yes.
Friday night games were I have never understood why other leagues wouldn't try to look at that and say, I get the appeal of Saturday for people that have to work and all of those
Right.
things, but for students' involvement, the Friday night deal was a 10.5.
So I think that it's because of Saturday, right? You can't play Friday night and then
Yep.
Saturday afternoon, and Saturday is the number one day to draw people to games. So the MAC does it for Friday, I think.
creates an atmosphere,
because
man.
they can get a great TV deal out of it too.
Yep. Oh, that's right.
So they can get a game on ESPN.
They need inventory, so it makes all the sense in the world. But I'm telling, and I know it's a great atmosphere at the Knott Arena, no matter what. But
Right.
a Friday night atmosphere, man.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people they say, can the Mount hang in this new conference? But out of the 11 schools that will be in the conference next year, the Mount would have been third in attendance.
How about that?
I mean,
How about that?
Yeah, and I think second is really possible. Siena's got a 15,000 seat arena, so it won't.
It's
be
tough
first.
it's tough to compete with that. It is tough to compete with that. Although what's funny about it is you ask Jimmy about his time at Siena. He's like, "Yeah, we were always the redheaded stepchild because he was like Albany got all the attention." I'm like, "Dude, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you guys have plenty of attention up there."
Yes.
And he would explain that it was a bigger deal. Like he'd be like, it'd be nothing like in that town. This is that's what's going on. It's basketball.
Exactly.
People are into it. All right. So let's do this. Let's have some fun with it.
I'm ready.
Adam Pohl's here.
Here we go.
Definitive power rankings. We will carve them into stone and pass it down through generations because we are making it definitive. We are going to rank the best promotions in all of baseball. Now, I am trying to be more generic, right? But I am happy to throw in so give me your 3 favorite one-offs. Your 3 favorite one-off promotions you guys did somewhere at some point that it was just.
Well, you know what we could do is we could put them into categories. So let's do it that way.
Give me the one-offs first.
And then we'll talk about, because I want the list to be the more generic stuff. I want the list to be the things that truly would make an average person go to the ballpark.
Okay,
so give me the one-offs first.
Well, the number one-off, unquestionably, is the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo.
Oh, no.
Which,
now, wait, when you say that's a one-off, don't they still do that?
Yeah, but it's once a year.
Yeah, but this to me counts as a regular thing. That counts to me as a regular. It's like what's her face, Red Panda doing
crazy. Yeah, just your crazy promo. He might be retiring the act, to be honest, but it is once again, it is a capuchin monkey riding a sheepdog and chasing horned goats and herding them on like they are cattle.
Now, when did you guys? Because these are the types of things that with basketball you do at halftime. When did you guys do the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo? Did you do it?
Well, first of all, the Frederick Keys are one of the first teams to do it.
Okay.
Incredibly, you would think that this would have been found in the South, but it was, but it wasn't.
Okay.
An employee of the Wilmington Blue Rocks went to a rodeo, and the rodeo clown was Mr. Cowboy Monkey.
Wow.
And this was a rodeo act. Between the actual rodeo, they would do this, and people would just laugh hysterically.
It's wonderful.
And he's like, what's this guy's number, and how do I bring him to Wilmington, Delaware?
I love this, by the way. I'm all on board.
And I, as a broadcaster of the Frederick Keys, saw it the second time the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo ever happened in minor league baseball, and I immediately brought them to Frederick. And soon after that, 32 teams throughout the country were doing it.
Did you do it pregame, or did you do it?
So you do a teaser after the third inning.
Okay.
Which the monkeys come out and run around a little bit, or they ride. You do a teaser after the sixth inning, and then
so you build
the
up
big
the
show is after the ninth inning. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. By the way, I'm all in on the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo. It's tremendous. I have witnessed it. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Now, I'm sure you know Patrick Stevens, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Covers college basketball in the area.
Yes.
Patrick and I used to rank like halftime shows in college basketball games.
Yes.
And of course, Red Panda was always very high on the list. I adored, I don't know if you've ever brought him out for the Frisbee Dogs.
Yes.
You ever done that for baseball? Have you ever brought him out for?
Yes, once or twice, and the Mount does it annually.
I mean, it's as halftime shows go, spectacular. Spectacular. I never know how these things translate when you try to do them with baseball because it's not quite the same viewing wise. Like people are sitting different places. Like do you put them on top of a duck? But like Frisbee Dogs, 10.5. 10.5.
I know, but I got a crazy one off for you.
Okay.
That you're gonna love. We did it one time in Frederick, and the people that went still talk about it today.
Was it Shave Your Back Night?
It was not. That was a good one too.
That was a great one.
But this one was called Man on Fire, where we brought in this guy from Ohio.
I was waiting to say you picked somebody at random and lit them on fire. I would say maybe not the greatest
It
promotion.
looked like the front of a Rage Against the Machine album. we literally set this man on fire, and he ran the bases and then got extinguished at home plate.
So this is just his show that he does?
Correct.
And did you do this between innings?
This was post-game.
Okay, I was going to say, I would be a little bit worried about what might go wrong.
The fireworks started right when he got extinguished.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Man on Fire.
All right. That is more one-off
more
to me
of a
than
one-off,
Cowboy Monkey
yes.
Rodeo. I'll put Cowboy Monkey Rodeo on the big list. That to me makes the big list.
Gotcha.
Fireworks, as you bring up, of course,
of
are a
course.
generic. Now, that being said, I personally would not choose to go to a baseball game just because I saw it was fireworks night. I might be more inclined with the kids.
Well, fireworks is the number one promotion in minor league baseball.
It drives the most people.
There is one other that is not as fun, but it's called 75 and Sunny, right? Meaning the weather.
The weather,
perfect,
yeah,
yes.
the weather. Got it. Right.
But fireworks is the best.
You get the biggest crowds. Just if it was a generic Saturday night with fireworks versus a generic Saturday night without fireworks, you're saying that Saturday night with fireworks will drive a larger crowd to the ballpark.
Correct.
Anything else that you say statistically is the biggest driver of people to a ballpark?
Big group nights, right? So let's say you have a faith night.
Right.
And you basically sell a ton of group tickets to different churches and bring them in. I mean, that is a perfect night at the ballpark. So instead of having just a goofy thing and you throw it out, right? Like we have done so many times over the years, you have a night that is geared literally towards a certain segment of people.
All right, I have told you the best thing you guys ever did at Bowie, and I don't know if do you still do Touch a Truck Day or?
Oh yes, that's a great one.
Did you do it already this year? Or
I don't think so.
Well,
it's
we
upcoming.
need to talk.
It's
we
upcoming.
need to talk. Let me tell you what. Touch a Truck Day. Where did this come from?
Oh, it's a good question. But it's obviously a community event.
Dude.
It used to happen at firehouses, but now it's starting to happen everywhere.
All it is just a bunch of different fire trucks and service trucks and electric trucks and you name it. They're all there. You line them all up and you let these young people walk by and honk the horns and you let them climb on the trucks and they are like pigs in S. My two sons had the greatest day of their life. They were like, there's a baseball game afterwards? Who cares? I'm like, well, I mean, we're here for the baseball game. I think we lasted 3 innings. I think we lasted 3 innings. They were so happy to go jump and play on trucks. It was the greatest promotion I had ever seen in my entire life.
In the same realm, when you bring in obviously bobbleheads is the number one. Bobbleheads, but also another one that I really love is when you partner with a nonprofit and do something special with them and then have the team wear a jersey that is indicative of that, and then you auction it off and then raise money for it. So people want to see the jerseys, they want to buy the jerseys. You auction off the jerseys, raise the money, and give that money
now,
to
this
that
is
nonprofit.
better in the minor leagues because you get like SpongeBob jerseys, and you get
correct, but
like
you can get very unique. So here's 2 examples, right? One would be a great name, Guns and Hoses Night. Okay, so you get
this is for the police and the fire.
Pre or post game softball game between the police and the fire before or after your game, and then you wear a special jersey and you auction it off. In Frederick, we gave it to the Police Action League, but Bowie just did one that was very successful, and another one. This is in Frederick for the Arts Council, Art in the Park Night, right? So literally somebody in the community would design a jersey. A group of people would pick the jersey. You'd auction off that and then give that money to the local arts community.
You have not named one that to me is a very simplistic one. And it's not one that I'd say specifically would make me choose to go to a game I wasn't going to, but the joy it gave me when I would get there is it's very difficult to compare to anything else. I love Dollar Dog Night at the ballpark.
Yes.
Yeah. There is something so baller about going with your boys and looking around and being like, hey, guys, this round's on me. And coming back with a bunch of hot dogs for you and all your friends. I don't know how to explain it. It's like more powerful than going and getting everybody around to beers.
Well, the key, though, is you want to do that on a weekday, right?
Yes.
So you don't want to do that. Your money-making days are Friday through Sunday.
Understood.
So you got to do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Thursdays have been the big discount night in minor league baseball.
Makes sense. That makes sense. I'm telling you, Dollar Dog Night is the one. It is the way. I don't know what makes it so. I have a friend who is a football player, became a professional wrestler. His name's AJ, and for his birthday a couple years ago, we went to a baseball game. And on the way out, we stopped by a vendor that was selling dollar dogs, and he literally just plucked down a 20 and said, the next 20 are on me. Now, there were like 12 of us that were there hanging out with him for his birthday, and it's $20. It's nothing, and yet it felt so baller because he bought 20 hot dogs, right? Like, he's just everybody's walking up like, it's my turn now. Like, it was just such a baller move for no money at all.
I love it.
And everybody was so happy because we're like, we got a delicious hot dog out of the deal, right? Like, and then you can do whatever you want with your hot dog. Dollar Dog Night is the way. And I don't know that there can be a comparison. Like, I don't think if you did Dollar Peanut Night or Dollar Cotton
it's
Candy
either Dollar
Night.
Dog or Dollar, or, now $2 beer night, things of that nature.
There was, 10-cent beer night? Like, didn't Cleveland do that, like, in the 70s one time?
Yes, they had the
game.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
I like that one.
Yes, it's a great idea. It's just that in practicality, it ends up being a bad idea afterwards.
Oh, no doubt. And in Virginia, there were laws about saying that you had a $1 beer night, like a special off beer night. So you could do the special, but you couldn't promote it in that way. So the Salem, Virginia team, basically Rowan Roanoke area, they would have a night that was called Friends and Family Night.
Okay.
And that was their dollar beer night. And the joke was it was meet friends and make family night.
Okay. Okay. I get it. The ones that we haven't touched on yet as we make our list.
Here we go. Famous person signs autographs.
Yes, autograph nights. And these can range from the sublime, like to the ones I feel like right now the go-to is anyone from The Office. You bring Meredith from The Office.
No doubt about
you bring Kevin from The Office. Brian Baumgartner, who's a great guy. What a great guy he is.
I mean, the Keys brought out Shooter McGavin. That was
that was a really good one.
Local sports stars are great.
Yeah.
The Baysox this year are going to have Craig Laughlin
for Capitals Night. Yep, I saw that was coming
That'll
up.
be a good one. But
I feel like it's because some of the I like that, but a lot of people around here, if like you really wanted to meet Craig Laughlin, you've probably had an opportunity at some point. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, right? Because I think it's a cool event. I think when you bring in somebody that's not local, like when you bring in a celebrity, even if it's a CD level celebrity, that people are forced to say, am I ever going to have another chance to meet the soup Nazi? Like, am I ever going to have another opportunity?
Well, let me tell you my almost on that one. So, one of the great things about being a broadcaster is you really have to do a lot of prep on these guys. Try to find out different things.
And they typically come spend an inning with you on the broadcast, right?
Well, I'm talking about your actual players.
Oh.
Right? You don't want to say the same thing about these guys every night.
Got it. Yes.
So we had a third baseman named Tyler Kolodny. He was a 13th round
pick. I vaguely remember him.
And he never made it beyond high A. And Tyler was a really, really funny guy. And so I'm one day doing broadcast prep on him, and I realized that he went to this high school in L.A., and a lot of famous actors and actresses have gone to this high school. Many of them are much older than even we are, right? So what ends up happening is that I realize that there's an actor that I think probably is a very similar age to Kolodny. So I had to ask him after the game. And I go down and I say, Tyler, can I ask you something? I'm like, do you know McLovin?
Oh, my God.
And he's like, yeah, I've got his cell phone right here. We were in the same grade in high school.
Dude.
They grew up together.
Dude.
And amazingly, due to my fantastic timing, I should have figured this out earlier because we reached out. We tried to get him. But Kolodny got released like a week or two later, and I couldn't just keep following it up. But we had it all planned out. You got the Hawaii ID, you get a free ticket. We had it all ready for McLovin.
That would have been a 15 and a half. Oh my God, that would have been perfect. The Ironbirds did it with Chris from NSYNC a couple years ago.
Ooh, yes.
And you just
not bad.
And it's the type of thing where you're like, I don't know why I care this much, but I really care. I'm really excited about meeting Chris Kirkpatrick going to get your ass kicked.
Yes.
Like, I'm really excited about it.
The wrestlers.
Oh, that's a big one, 100%. That's a big one. Whenever you do a wrestler night at the ballpark, that's a great point.
John in Little Rock said that the Arkansas Travelers AA team, they did a pro midget wrestling night.
Okay,
yes,
now that's
I've
a good
seen
bit,
that.
too. That's a good bit. They actually do like a wrestling match, and I have
Set
seen
up
that,
the
too,
ring
as
at
well.
home plate.
I want to say a couple years ago, the Nasty Boys, because I remember the only reason I remember this is we were doing the show from the baseball meetings, and I walked downstairs, and the Nasty Boys were just hanging out at the baseball meeting.
You're like, why are these
guys
guys
here? What the hell is going on here? And it turns out they were there because they were going to the trade show to sell, bring the legends of wrestling to your ballpark this summer. Like, that was the reason why they were there. I'm willing to just a wrestling theme night. It can be a little bit different. I'm willing to put that on the list. We have not mentioned run the bases. Or play catch on the field.
Correct. So those are some great add-ons. But this is one of the interesting things, and think of it in this way. Major League Baseball, when I got into minor league baseball, it was kind of very similar to what you're used to now. But now Major League Baseball is like that too.
That's true. They are incorporating far more of these.
When I grew up going to Orioles,
wow, there was a concert after the game on Saturday night. There was 40,000 people there.
But just the promotions between innings, because you could add that stuff in as well. But the reality is the next wave for minor league baseball to differentiate themselves is giving really a special experience.
What do you mean by that?
So the Baysox do a 12 days of Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And each day they auction off not auction off, but you can buy a ticket plan on those days. And if you do so, then you get that experience. One of them is doing a half inning on the radio.
Oh, play-by-play. That's cool.
Right?
That's cool.
With myself or Matt. The other is another one is taking batting practice on the field, from one of the Baysox staff, or handing out the lineup card.
That's cool.
Things like that.
That's really cool.
So that's kind of the next frontier.
Stuff that probably they wouldn't want to do at the major league level.
Just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen there.
So they don't do on-field promotions at the major leagues. They don't like to have. They think that kind of cheapens it. You see that in the minors. That's an enormous thing. If you want to put that on there, on-field promotions is a huge thing.
Like the brushing the teeth thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
But my favorite of all time was the Exterminator. You have an Exterminator that is the sponsor, and you have an intern run out in a bug costume, and you get a 7-year-old with a big fly swatter.
Okay.
And they just beat the ever living out of that intern.
All right. I like it. I like it. Is there anything else that's not on the list before we rank them?
Bark at the Park night.
Oh, bring your dog, or Woof Wednesday.
That's a great one. Yeah. That's a great one. Bark at the Park night is another good one. I think that, but this is wild. 69 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's over 400 promotions.
It's bonkers. There's so much going on.
Yeah,
there's so much going on.
When you put one night deal,
Well, and then there's $1 off drinks or whatever on certain nights.
Yeah.
There's always something.
When you put everything together, it's over 400.
James said, I always liked when minor league would do ticket deals, like a buy one get one free type of thing. Yeah,
sometimes kids it'll be like wear your little league uniform and you get in free on Sundays.
Yeah, that's a great point. I guess there is like a little league. All right, we're having too many because we got to rank ours.
Okay, yes.
All right, we got to rank ours. So what are we fighting about that to us is number one?
Dollar Dog is got to be up
You and
there.
I are in agreement on Dollar Dog. You seem pretty strong about the Cowboy Monkey Rodeo being
well, no, I'm just telling you, the discount stuff is great. But the way to really grow your attendance in the minor leagues.
You're thinking it from more an analytical approach.
Correct.
You're thinking of it more from someone who's worked in this business. We're talking about it from a fan perspective of what makes us the happiest when we get to the ballpark.
Okay.
What makes us the happiest when we get to the ballpark is when we're like, oh my God, it's Dollar Dog Night. I feel very strongly about Dollar Dog Night. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you've been outrolled 2-1. I got bad news, dog. That's the way it's gone. Dollar Dog Night's winning this one. All right, now I'll let you because we usurp number one.
Yes.
You get to have number two.
Oh, well, it would, in my metric of what is the most important to driving people, it would be fireworks.
Fireworks, number two.
Undoubtedly.
Fireworks is number
one,
two.
But it's okay.
I believe bobblehead should be number three.
I agree.
I guess we can include like a T-shirt night on here. And I know that T-shirt nights do well, but I just feel like there's nothing that compares to.
Well, yeah, you could just say a giveaway. Yeah, giveaways.
Yeah. Should we specify Hawaiian shirt night?
Oh God, Hawaiian shirt and floppy hat night.
Yeah.
And floppy hat night is always a driver. Everybody wants that stupid floppy hat that you might wear one more time all year.
I bought 8
the
tickets.
fedora. Remember the fedora?
Yeah, right. 100%. Oh, fedora night was that was a good bit. All right, we'll do bobblehead / giveaways. All right.
Okay.
All right, bobblehead / giveaways will be number 3.
There's the Staten Island Yankees. They did a Pat Venditti bobble arms one.
Oh, I remember that. That was a really because he was ambidextrous.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. The amphibious pitcher.
Amphibious. Yes.
Amphibious,
Thank
if
you.
you went to NC
Amphibious.
State,
Yeah. Wasn't there a Georgetown player that had the same problem too that said amphibious?
It was NC State.
I thought I
Charles
could have.
Shackelford.
I know, but I could have sworn in the '80s there was a Georgetown
really?
player that did the same
I can
thing.
go to my right.
I
can go to my
I could have
left.
sworn because Forrester loved to tell the story
amphibious.
that there was an '80s Georgetown player. All right, so we're 3 in. Next, I feel really strongly about Touch Chuck Day only because my children.
That does sound really cool,
dude. I'm telling you,
it's
you
a great,
become
it's
a father.
great event.
Become a father and understand.
Oh, I know. I've got a 3-year-old.
Yeah, you do know.
I mean, yeah.
Touch a Truck Day is everything. All right, you get the next one.
What is in the next one?
We're at 4 now. We don't have. We can decide when we just want to end the list.
Yeah,
this is the great thing about it being our list.
I would say I do love the Guns and Hoses.
So the jerseys.
But what I would say is a non-profit night.
Special jersey / non-profits.
Correct. Yes, because that's what you're doing.
All right.
With those
all
nights.
right.
Yeah,
all right.
those
That'll
are
be number
really,
5.
really special.
That'll be number 5 on the list. All right, Griffin, you get to choose one now.
I like Bark at the Park night.
Bark at the Park.
Getting the
I agree.
dogs in
Bark at the
there,
Park is strong.
yeah.
That's a strong thing. Even if you don't bring your dog,
Yeah,
you
you
love seeing everybody else's dogs.
Yes.
It just makes your experience all that much better. It definitely does need to be on the list. I'm going to go with autograph/celebrity appearance.
Nice.
Because I'm telling you, man, when you find out that Kevin from The Office is going to be there,
Yes.
just like I will stand in a 30-minute line to meet Kevin from The Office.
Yeah,
I will do
we
that.
brought Rudy once.
That's a
That
great
was a great one.
Oh, it's a great one because you're there and you're like, well, that's really him.
That's Rudy.
That's Rudy. Because his son was in the system, wasn't
It was
he?
his nephew.
His nephew. That's what it was.
Yeah.
His nephew was in the system.
Yeah, Rudiger.
Yep. All right, so that's 7. How many more do we want to put on the list? You want to go to 10?
Did we forget Star Wars night, or is that like fall under something else?
Star Wars Night's a really good one. That could be its own thing. That's,
Damn it. But Marvel Night's a thing now too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could have put all that stuff. But I do really like.
All right, what we're gonna do is
you
we're gonna
could
make it Star Wars/Marvel Night.
I do love. I'm sorry, but I think
Mm-hmm.
such a big part of minor league baseball would be just the crazy, like what the what promotion. So Cowboy Monkey Rodeo would fall.
I'm
under
good with that. I'm good with that.
But you would put it under
Cowboy Monkey Rodeo /WTF.
Yes,
Yeah, like
yes.
wrestling, the wrestling, or
I just
or
like
is that
W
separate?
Cowboy
of
Monkey
that.
Rodeo,
All of midget wrestling,
and,
yeah.
and you know what, Griffin say, and assorted WTF
Yes.
entertainment.
There is a lot of it.
Assorted WTF entertainment. That'll be number 8. All right. I do think that we need to put play catch on the field or run the bases on the list. I think that should be on the list.
And that's
So we'll-
something that the major leagues have taken.
Yep, that gets
as
us to
well.
9. So we got one more. I think we cut it at 10. All right. So do we feel stronger about Star Wars/Marvel Night? Do we feel stronger about wrestling themes or post-game I mean, the post-game concert did just draw a ton of
True,
people.
yeah.
It did, but I'm telling you, for the Baysox, the Star Wars is
Yeah.
by far the most.
All right.
I'm leaning towards that as well.
In
We
the
have to
minor leagues.
incorporate major leagues here too. We do it because we did say baseball. We didn't just say specifically
well,
minor
baseball,
leagues.
if
And
you
we did
bring
just
that-
watch.
do-
Look at how many people came out to that game on Saturday. It was
Yeah.
insane.
It was insane.
And it was Smash Mouth, and they're terrible.
Was it Smash Mouth, really?
Yeah. And Drew Hill. Drew Hill's great.
I didn't
but
realize
Smash
Smash
Mouth is
Mouth was
god
in
awful.
that.
And yet there were 40,000 people at the game on Saturday night.
Amazing.
It was unbelievable. It was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen in my life. And it was Smash Mouth. All right, it's 2-1. What your vote is?
My vote is Star Wars.
All right,
I think
then
I'll go Star
that's going to
Wars.
win.
Yeah.
So Star Wars/Marvel Night. All right, that's our list, Griffin. We're going
I like it.
Okay.
chisel it into stone,
Chisel
and we're
it
going to
into
put it up
stone.
on the website. All right, let's quickly get it. Can tidbits save for tomorrow? Oh, you know what? I need to figure out what reads I haven't done because I kind of got away from doing reads as soon as Adam got here. And then food was here. I forgot that I had to do a show. Today's show also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Adam, can you do me a favor? Could you hand me that? You see that binder right there? Because I got to be honest with you.
I'll be your Stockton to Malone.
Thank you, pal. That was a hell of an assist. God, that was a big one. I got to remember. I don't remember the wording on this one, so I do need to go. Your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
I like it. I'm a recent Toyota buyer.
What'd you get?
RAV4.
I do enjoy a RAV4.
Yes.
I do enjoy a RAV4.
Yes.
Griffin, what's the so your tidbit? Could it hold for tomorrow or does it need to go today?
We can hold for tomorrow.
We're going to hold
Yes.
it for tomorrow. If he had done it, it would have been spectacular, first of all. And it would have been brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and
Yes,
Hotel Maryland,
yes.
which is the best place to be for all football games, including tonight. You know, if you
Hey.
follow Live Casino and Hotel on Twitter or other socials, you will see the advice that Griffin and I have for you about betting this weekend. And, yeah, it involves preseason football. There's a pretty obvious bet to make.
Yes. Ravens money line.
I would go even a step
Go ahead and
further.
take the points.
It's not just that they've won 20 straight. They've covered in 17 of them.
That's amazing.
In fact, I'll give it away. I think in order to get plus 135 odds, you should bet specifically the Ravens to win by 1 to 13 points. That's what I think you should bet. I just don't see it being
It's the Titans.
Right.
It's a preseason game. I just don't see them
Vrabel, Harbaugh.
trying all that hard for it to be a blowout, right? I think 1 to 13 is the number. So
I like it.
That's where I am. My betting advice for tonight, which you can do in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. So I encourage you to do that. What's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise, it is a busy night. Obviously, Orioles playing this one off with the Red Sox. As we mentioned earlier, Dean Kramer is on the mound for that. Josh Winskowski goes for Boston. That's 7 o'clock on
God bless you.
No, you know what? I meant to have.
Yeah, you need a tissue after that.
Right. Damn it. Griffin, do me a favor, real quick.
All right.
Oh, we're going to go to like 12:45 today. This is going to be a problem because we still got to get to Cade Povich. We created a tradition that we had to cancel because Kyle quit the show. Can you try calling Kyle real quick?
Yeah.
From the studio.
Okay.
He'll know why you're calling if he answers because he's got a real job now. He'll know why you're calling. So tonight's the Field of Dreams game.
Yes, that's right.
On Fox.
And he's got the James Earl Jones voice.
And so this is a long. When Kyle used to work at Channel 2, Jamie Costello would ask him every year. I don't know what date it was. Because the Field of Dreams game just started.
Yeah, it's the second
but would
year.
randomly ask Kyle to do the monologue from Field of Dreams.
I love it.
And Kyle would entertain it and would just do it. And so last year, Jamie, the night before the game, messaged me and was like, hey, man, can you have Kyle do the monologue on the show? And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I can do that. So I thought about it right before the show today, and I messaged him, and I said, hey, dude, I need you to do the monologue today. And he was like, well, just tell me when. And then food,
Chaos.
you came in. Yeah, 100 things happened, and I utterly forgot it. Is he there?
Yes, he is.
Oh, Kyle Ottenheimer. What's up, buddy? How are you?
What's going on, man? How are you?
You remember our friend Adam Pohl is here in
What's up,
studio
Kyle?
with
How are
us.
you?
He's in studio right now.
Yeah,
Oh my
yes.
God, I love hearing that voice. How you doing, Adam?
Good, Kyle. We're here to hear your voice.
Yes, that's the voice we wanted to hear
The
this morning.
dulcet tones.
So this is a gift for all of us, but specifically for our friend Jamie Costello. So how did this start where he would ask you to do this exactly?
So I was working at WMAR at the time, and I guess it was 2014 because it was the year that you and I met, Glenn. And he just printed out the speech when I was at the assignment desk and handed it to me and just told me to read it. And, I guess that was the start of the Jamie Costello fascination with me mimicking James Earl Jones.
He messaged me last year the night before the Field of Dreams game, said, can you please have Kyle do this? And I was like, hell yeah, I'll have Kyle do this. Absolutely. Because everybody knows I've long been enamored with Kyle's voice. Kyle has this very sultry voice of God. And so, and we put him on the spot. We didn't give him any prep for it. I just said, Kyle, you don't know what you're about to do, but call this person. And I had him call Jamie. And then once Jamie was on the phone, I had him I printed it out for him. I said, give us the monologue. So are you prepared to do this right now?
Yeah, I actually just pulled it up.
All right, here we go. Kyle Otten, ahead of tonight's Field of Dreams game out in Dubuque, Iowa. I would actually really love to go at some point. I would really love to. God, it would be cool.
Even if it's the Reds and the Cubs.
It's a terrible game. Who cares? You're not there for the game. Yeah, you're there for the setting. Here is Kyle Ottenheimer as James Earl Jones.
Ray, people will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure what they're doing. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have, and peace they lack. Ray, just sign the papers. And they'll walk out to the bleachers and sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game, and it'll be as if they dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick they'll have to brush them away from their faces. Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose. People will come, Ray. The one constant through all of the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Bravo!
Oh, I feel it in my soul. I feel it in my soul. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right, well, I guess we'll talk to you in a year.
Yeah, you're in a new studio now. I don't even have the landline anymore, do I?
No. Well, text me, and when you want to come by, let me know when you want to come by, and we'll make that happen. All right?
I don't really go to the county.
Oh, yeah. Listen to you. Listen to you, jerk. All right, I love you, buddy. Thank you for doing that. I love you, pal.
Too, man.
All right.
All right, talk to you, Adam. Good to hear your voice.
Man, God, that was great. The bouquet of roses are on the way.
See you, bud.
Griffin, take it easy. Good job, buddy.
Thanks, Kyle.
That's Kyle Ottenheimer, who, of course, was my partner for years here on Glenn Clark Radio, and such a random thing, but I'm really glad he did that. It made my day. I don't care that we're going to be on until 1 o'clock today.
He got into it.
Oh, he does. He's a performer. Dude, he did the Jaws monologue, the Quint monologue one year.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It moved me. It moved me. When he said we dropped the bomb, I, jumped out of my skin. I was like, oh, my God. That man. So, yeah, the Fox has got the Field of Dreams game tonight. Cubs-Reds at 7 o'clock. What else matters? Athletes Unlimited continues. It's the final weekend of that out at USA Lacrosse and Sparks. ESPNU at 5:30, ESPN2 at 8. Of course, Titans-Ravens at 7:30 on Channel 11. Everything else, GlennClarkRadio.com. You can find it there. Anything non-sports-wise?
Not a whole lot. I mean, you're watching either the Orioles, the Ravens, or the Field of Dreams
better be watching
game.
the Orioles tonight. I mean, what are you? No offense. What are you doing? That game matters.
I'm joining the game.
Oh, you're going to the game. That's
Yeah.
right. You're going to the Ravens game. God. There's one game that matters tonight.
There's the Arsenal All or Nothing Amazon Prime documentary. They're like the Premier League Hard Knocks thing.
People love that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then there's a Netflix skateboarding documentary called Stay on Board, the Leo Baker story. He's a queer trans skater. So it follows his issues that he faced.
Sounds interesting.
Coming up. So
I finally finished the Most Hated Man on the Internet. I finished that. What a douchebag. They're not wrong. They're not wrong. That guy's a piece of crap. And apparently only had to serve 2 years in jail, and now he's just F that guy. Not you though, Adam Pohl. Not you. You're not a douchebag. First of all, thank you for coming in this morning.
Oh, this has been great.
Pohl Adam, Pohl Adam.
Yeah,
on
who knew there was
Twitter.
another Adam Pohl?
I know, right? What the hell? What's
maybe
that
I
all
should just
about?
been Adam Pohl 1.
Have we ever addressed? I'm sure you get it. Do you get Josh Gad? When you're out, do people say I swear to God, I've thought it a few times.
Back in the day, I was Fred Savage.
Okay, Fred Savage makes sense. It's a combination of look and voice.
Yes.
I feel like I've meant to say that you
I see it. I see
exactly
it.
right. I feel like I've meant to bring it up to you a billion times over the years, and
I think I beat him in chins 4-1.
I know Josh Gad. I think you have similar structures. I think Josh Gad is that's why I think it works. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us. A lot of fun. You want to plug anything at all for?
Well, Serena Williams farewell tour. So let's plug it. They're playing in Canada
Toronto
right now.
Nick Kyrgios is
Watch
a
out.
thing.
He's a thing.
Jack Draper. That's a name that I beat Tsitsipas last night. And Jack Draper's he's a Brit. He's been steadily coming on. I'm keeping my eye on Jack Draper going to the U.S. Open. That's a name that we'll be discussing. All right. Well, go check out.
We're tennis people.
We are.
You
go check out the Baysox.
Tennis,
no, not at all. Not one bit. Not even a little bit. Go check out the Baysox and of course Mount St. Mary's as well. Appreciate you, my friend. Really had a lot of fun doing this. Hey, Stan will be on Facebook Live. Basically, when we finish this show, Stan's going to be hopping back on Facebook Live. He's got a show this afternoon. Frank Remesh, GM of the Baltimore Arena. We'll be talking about what the building is going to look like and what events are going to be coming. That'll be a fun conversation at 1 o'clock. So basically, at the time that we end our interview with Cade Povich, you'll be able to flip over and refresh, and Stan will be there. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Simply the Bets returns on Tuesday. We do it every Tuesday morning at 11:40. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Thanks today to Adam. Thanks to Rod Woodson, and thanks to Cade Povich, who you're about to hear from. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to try to make Bo Smolka happen tomorrow, and I'm guessing Stuff and Things.
Stuff and Things. Good stuff and Things.
I hope so. I hope that's the case.
Are you talking about number 21 tomorrow?
Number 21?
Ravens.
Oh, Jesus,
wins.
right?
Yeah. So they're going for blackjack.
Adam, I'm not going to watch the game.
Sorry, I'll have a great full report for you.
The Orioles are playing a meaningful baseball game tonight.
I'll tell you how well Anthony
Brown
Brown
did. You know how many Augusts I've been desperate for this? Desperate to have a distraction from pretending to care about preseason football? I don't even have to pretend to. We can talk about the Orioles tomorrow. That's what I like. All right, we'll do that on the show tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners. Big time thanks to Glory Days Grill for bringing us food today. God, Made my day.
Amazing.
Royal Farms, Casa Inn, Grade 8's memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. Visit Howard County, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer. BuyAToyota.com and Swagger. PlayWithSwagger.com/PressBox. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Thanks to Ryan at RexBexRyan. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday night. Go Birds. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. We wrap up today's show. Cade Povich, new member of the Orioles organization. He came over in the Jorge Lopez deal. Let's meet him right now. Glenn Clark Radio. Well, it's a pleasure now to be joined here on GCR by a man who just arrived in the Orioles organization, and he wasted no time making himself acclimated. In his first start, he went 6 shutout innings, giving up just 1 hit and striking out 8. He is now Aberdeen Ironbirds pitcher Cade Povich, and he's with us here on GCR. Cade, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time, and welcome to the Orioles organization.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. All right, let's go back to it. Take me back last week. Did you have any idea? I know around this time a lot of guys start thinking about it, but did you have any clue that you might be on the move? And when you find out, what's like the first thought that runs through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, leading up to it, I think everybody was kind of curious what was going on for themselves and what might happen to them. And I think as the deadline gets closer and closer, it starts getting this feeling like, all right, well, I'm here, nothing's going to really happen. And then, the day of the deadline, I wake up and I get the phone call. And I think the first kind of thought is kind of take a moment and think about it and take it all in, just because it's something you hear about. Obviously being in this system, and then also just watching from being younger, and then it actually happening, it's kind of like a moment step back and actually take it all in.
So is the feeling more disappointment in being moved, or is the next feeling more like, holy crap, there's a team that really wanted me. There's a place that they really they wanted me specifically. They chose me. How do those emotions sort of go through you in those 24 hours that follow?
Right. I think it's a little bit of both. I think at first, I feel like for a lot of people, it's one of those things, you get drafted by a team and you want to be one of those guys that, you see
you're a lifer
that have come up. Have come up through the system and just stayed with the same. But then when you look deeper into it and you see who it's for, and you look at, okay, I guess this team probably really wants me, and maybe they want me even more than who I'm currently with. So I feel like it's one of those things you'll end up looking back on it in a few years and be like, I'm glad that happened, and it just happened for the better.
I was wondering if maybe it inspired this first outing with the Ironbirds, because holy crap, dude. You were on, was it, sometimes baseball just goes that way, right? It's just your night, the matchups are good, whatever it is. But were you feeling some sort of extra energy putting on a different uniform and being in a different system for the first time?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. The first half of the season in Cedar Rapids, being my first year of pro ball, I experienced, a lot of ups and then a few downs. And to be in a new uniform in a new place with new teammates, it was just kind of like a reset mentally for me, and just go out and get back to myself and have the freedom to be myself and do what I want. And I think that part kind of helped a lot as well.
He is Cade Povich. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio, now with the Aberdeen Ironbirds, an opportunity for you to see one of the newest members of the Orioles organization. Cade, one of the things that Mike Elias said in a press conference last week is that they really identified you as a guy they wanted in a deal, and in fact used the terms, we see him as a front-of-the-rotation type of pitcher. I'm sure somebody let you know about what it is that your new general manager had said about you. What did it mean to hear that from someone speaking about? You're still you're a year into this thing, right? To hear a Major League Baseball general manager say, we view him as a front of the rotation type of pitcher, what does that mean?
Yeah, it obviously means a lot. And it definitely boosts the confidence a little. When I got the call that I got traded, he gave me a call and welcomed me too. And I mean, whenever you have someone like that reaching out to you and saying things like that, it's definitely a good boost. And you know, that's always kind of the position you want to end up being, is, you know, the guy of the system and of the rotation one day. And you know, I grew up watching Clayton Kershaw as a lefty, and you know, I always imagined and hoped that one day I would kind of hopefully be in the position that he's been in the past however many years.
I mean, it's lofty goals, obviously, when you're talking about Clayton Kershaw. But we like the sounds of it, bro. We want you to know that. We'd be all right if it worked out that way. That would be pretty great. You mentioned Cedar Rapids a second ago. I guess it strikes me we need to make sure that the Orioles find their way into a Field of Dreams game at some point in the future, since you missed out on that opportunity this week, right?
Right, yeah, I've been seeing it from all my buddies back there and everything, and it looked like it was a really cool opportunity and something that, I mean, they'll probably never forget.
All right, so we just need to make that up to you somehow. We somehow need to make sure. We'll call the powers that be. I mean, we got a little bit of pool around here. Try to figure out a way, maybe like Orioles White Sox in the Field of Dreams game, and then 2 years from now, in order to make up that opportunity that you missed out on. We got to do that. Cade, let's talk about you, the pitcher, right? I had a couple of scouts who said, you know, what really jumped out to us is that your velocity seemed to even go up from the draft to now. I had a couple people that pointed out that, like, maybe there were a couple of extra ticks on the fastball. Can you take me through just the first year as a pro and what you feel like you've maybe already improved to this point?
Yeah, I feel a lot of it was just continuing to focus everything on the craft and in the weight room. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I think overall just figuring out who I am and what works best for me definitely helped out a lot. Learning how to move a little bit better in certain positions and move faster in those positions helped me out a lot. And then just continuing to develop all my pitches and get comfortable and being able to throw them all wherever I want to. And, you know, I wasn't the hard thrower when I was younger, so I was able to learn how to throw strikes and fill up the zone. And fortunately, the velocity has started coming as of recent.
Where would you say right now that you have complete control? Like, what's the fastest velocity that you say, I still have complete control if I'm hitting 95, whatever it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime I can stay in the around the 4 range. Okay. You know, I feel like I'm in control and can work all my pitches off of that.
Tell me about your other pitchers. You know, what else is it that you bring into the repertoire?
Yeah, so I have a changeup, which has been kind of a up and down pitch for me this year. Sometimes it's just working on finding consistency with it. You know, my curveball's been one that I had, and I go back to Kershaw because, I mean, my curveball I've always kind of looked at like his and tried to model mine after his. Slow, big loop and breaking ball. And then I have a slider as well, which I try to use as a put-away pitch. Get some good sweep on it and some good depth to it, and then a cutter that I can run a little slower than my fastball. It's more around 90, but it gives it a different movement look than my fastball.
Is there anything else that maybe you've like had in the lab that like you've experimented with and you know you might bring? I always love it when somebody's like, yeah, I'm working on this like spiked split finger, and I'm like, is that a pitch or is that like a drink that you're working on making? Is there anything else that you've messed around with in the lab at all?
I mean, not necessarily. I know over COVID in college, I was throwing live at bats to some of the college guys that always went up there, and I'd mix in a knuckleball to mess with them every here and there. But I don't know.
Probably not going to make it. Yeah, probably going to leave that one out. Although it would be hilarious in a certain situation. My God. Oh my. I would have no choice but to stand if at some point you're here on like a Tuesday after, like a getaway day afternoon, is the perfect time to do this. There's 2 strikes, and you just quick pitch a knuckleball, and nobody knows it's coming. Oh, it would be magical if that were to be the case. Hey, I know things have been going well in Minnesota, and it's a great organization that's had a lot of success. But, again, taking stock after you got traded and seeing what's going on here in Baltimore and how things have turned and the even more talent that's coming and – the opportunity to perhaps work with Adley Rutschman, who looks like he might be the greatest catcher in the history of baseball because, Jesus, he's already so good at such a young age. What does that mean to you, what you see coming now in this new organization?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that's really nice to be a part of. I mean, being in the system and watching other teams and seeing everything else, it's no secret that, the Orioles have one of, if not the top farm system, and the way they've developed players and brought players up, it's exciting to be a part of for the future of the program and for the future of myself.
And then the most important question, I saw you were a sports media and communications guy in college, so are you going to end up taking my job in the future?
Hey, who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Tell me one more thing. One other thing that we needed to know about you, the person, Cade.
Yeah, I think, I'm a guy that likes to give back. I love interacting with the fans. I always think back to when I was a little kid at a baseball game at a college or a Royals game, and just trying to look back and see how I was back then and be a role model for kids like they were for me when I was younger.
Was there an interaction you ever had with a player like growing up that meant a lot to you that you still remember to this day?
There's a few. There's at Nebraska, because we live close, we'd go to a lot of those games, and I was able to meet and get close to a few of the players, and even get like a tour of the stadium by one of them one time. And I just always look back and remember some of that stuff, and hope I can be that kind of guy to a kid one day as well.
That's cool. Probably would have made it difficult for anybody else that was trying to recruit you. It seems like you might have been kind of indoctrinated at a young age that's where you needed to be. Cade Povich, what can we plug for you? Twitter, Instagram, anywhere that Orioles fans could be giving you a follow right now.
Yeah, my Twitter is at CPO22. Instagram just Cade Povich, and that's about it.
All right, give him a follow in those spots. He's already got the Birdland hashtag in his bio on Twitter. We like that a lot. Cade, and again, IronbirdsBaseball.com. Ironbirds in the midst of a great season. Opportunity to get out and see Cade and some of the newer members of the Orioles organization. Cade Povich, really appreciate you taking the time for us, man. Welcome to town. Thank you for doing this. We'll be in touch as you move forward. Best of luck.
Of course. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.